Whoa, there we go. We are live. Welcome to the RPG Random Party Generator live stream. Uh, I'm Eric Tenkar, one of your hosts. Uh, in the middle square, upper row, Rob Conley. Bat, oh, bat in the attic, and I belch. There you go, Rob. Like,
I would get rid of the bats out of the attic.
yeah, it's like I'm Love Rick Klimt. Uh, Flanking Rob is Tim Short, Gothridge Manor. Below me, doing his best impression of the Fonz, doing his best impression of the new CEO of Wizards of the Coast.
Hey,
Hey, let's go digital. Chubby Funster, and of course Joe the Lawyer with his latest
incarnation.
incarnation.
It's more like my spirit animal.
Eric, I do have something very special for Joe tonight.
Uh-oh.
Yes. So,
Special episode for Joe.
For those of you in the audience who don't know, Joe went through his old podcast and started posting them, including one he found where he didn't really know me
At all.
I think at all, and he knew Tim. He knew Tim for just for a couple months, and he did an interview of us two together, and. Well, I'm hard of hearing, and so I like to do transcripts of of stuff when I have to rewatch them. And so I read the whole thing, and Joe, I did you a disservice all these years that we've known each other.
Oh
yeah.
I'll
If you go over the podcast, Tim relayed the story of the wooden milk crate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a great story.
And I have never shown you.
Oh,
there it is. There's one of them.
Hold on.
That's
Hold
the
on. We gotta do a show
special.
and tell.
That's an artifact.
That's the OG wooden milk crate that ripped knees and legs and scratched people.
See the corners there?
Yeah.
That's metal reinforced.
Oh my God.
And some of them would cut loose and just tear right into you.
You gotta get that box. It's gotta come with 3 gratuitous tetanus shots.
Basically. And I have 4 of these. I'm still using. Most of them are under my desk right now. But I realized I never showed you.
Yeah.
And also because of that, I have a practical demonstration for you, Joe.
Oh, here we go.
Uh-oh.
So
this is a reach down, not a reach around. It's a reach down. We're seeing, folks.
Oh,
he's great. He's fuzzy.
Okay, there we go.
He's having problems with his camera tonight.
Out of all the maps I have, I picked ones that I know that were there when Tim first met me.
All right.
Which are these hand-drawn maps. And those of you, everybody will recognize that this is a white tube stock.
Yes.
So the problem is,
what are you doing?
The problem is,
you're gonna pull milk out of it or something. Yeah.
The problem is, folks, that when you use rubber bands or hair bands for these maps, they crimp it and they're hard to deal with. So what I found is that you take a pair of scissors.
This is an arts and crafts show, boys and girls. Here we go.
Now make sure that you don't use your father's socks when you do this. They won't be very
Professor Dungeon Master and Bob the World Builder, all those miniature guys could go suck it. Look at this. Rob's cutting a sock live on the fucking YouTube show.
Oh yeah, this is not easy.
I was gonna say he's struggling there.
He's struggling.
He got sharper scissors.
I'll get it.
It was easier in his teenage years, boys and girls. He had more hand grip strength, apparently, back in the day. There you go.
All right. Now you got this. You got the top of a tube sock.
Yes.
And you take your map.
I used socks for whole different things in my teenage years, but go ahead, continue.
You really want to get demonetized, Joe. There you go. You have a holder for your map that won't damage your map.
Just put some stripes on that.
Well, I don't.
Just like in the 80s. Yeah.
That's true, right?
I check every drawer. I check my kids' drawer. I check we don't have stripes
They don't make them anymore, Rob. You got to I don't think, probably Amazon somewhere has them, but yeah.
So this is what I used to do to keep my maps together.
Oh, look at this. Fugly's throwing some words of wisdom your way, Rob.
Well,
Put a folded sheet of paper under the rubber band. You don't need the rubber band. A rolled sheet of paper with a single piece of tape, like around money, works great. Who knew? All right, there you go.
Well, the cool thing about the way he did it too is, if I remember correctly, if you wanted certain maps, since they had stripes on the top, you could color code the maps.
Oh, that's fantastic!
Oh, that's right.
The red ones were city, state, and I don't know, but you could. So that way you didn't have to go through all the maps. You could just
I'd roll up the regional map, and I would roll up my city state map.
Yeah.
And so forth and so on.
So
thanks
we
for
lost
that suggestion, Fugi.
Yeah.
Sorry, I fell asleep. What was this? What were you guys saying?
This is not related to your podcast, but I got my D&D stamps.
Oh, you bastard!
Oh, you got them, huh? What the hell kind of weird bullshit stamps today, though? You're terrible.
I know. I got mine.
Terrible art.
And they only have one original piece of art on it.
Terrible artwork.
It didn't make any sense. I thought it would have been nice as you got, 5 decades, you get 4 iconic pieces of art throughout each decade.
Yeah.
And put them on there as stamps.
Seriously, man, what the hell?
They don't.
No, I mean, not that I want to see him, but there's no fucking Elminster there. There's no Gary Gygax. I mean, come on, give him a fucking stamp, Jeez.
Yeah. So.
Oh, he's a white guy, so I'm not gonna.
Less said the better.
Yeah. I don't guess demonetized.
By the way, folks, we are simulcasting like the simulcast. Okay, we got the YouTube, but we also got the Joe YouTube. We got the Rumble, we got the Twitch, and we got the Twitter. Well, X. So and we got people watching everywhere, which is a beautiful thing.
This is cool. We got 16 people. It's Eric. If you look at this, since you started doing it on the other sites and whatnot, if you click down in, this is, internal shit, guys, but in the comment section on the StreamYards thing, you click on the all button, the little drop down, you cannot post specifically on X, nor can you post specifically on, was that Rumble?
Yep.
Is that Rumble? So, okay. Yep. So if you type something in this StreamYards chat, like we often do, it won't show up on those sites. Interesting.
Right. Well,
I see my comments doubled, so it's going twice somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and there's a reason why, because if you're watching on X, I don't believe you can comment.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I don't believe the comments go to the live stream, but we do have 5 viewers right now on X, and those 5 viewers are part of our total count. However, the 5 viewers on Rumble are not part of that count.
Interesting. Okay.
You see on the screen, because Rumble works with StreamYard, but in a very ass-backward way.
Okay.
So I actually got to set it up on Rumble first, then set it up on StreamYard, and then import the Rumble in.
Yeah. And Rob, just so you know, if you see the all button down there in the comment section, if you click the all, the drop down, you can post on either mine, Eric's, or Eric's Twitch, right? And that will only go to that. But no matter what you say in there, if I say hi, it looks like Eric said it, right? That's why I always type.
Joe, I'm sorry, I don't have a drop down. I just have.
Yeah, we're not admins here, so we don't.
Okay.
He can only talk to everybody.
I gotcha. Because that's why I say Joe here and then hi, and it goes everywhere, but people know it's me. You know what I mean? So that's why I do that.
So the answer to Fugi's question is no. I don't think there's a date on these, so I don't know if they're. I think these special edition. I think these special edition stamps are just like one and done.
Yeah, you got the sheet. You didn't get the first day of issue. I used to collect stamps as a kid, and first day of issue is
nerd. Geek,
oh well, they do have a little 2024 at the bottom right corner.
Yeah, but that just tells you it was a 2024 issue, because they're all forever stamps now, right?
Right.
Right.
That has been tonight's episode of Boomer News.
I'm
not
a
a fucking
boomer.
Moving on to random party
I
generator.
was born in '65. I will have you know.
Are you really?
Oh, you old man, you.
Jesus.
He made the cutoff. He made
Damn.
the cutoff for
I
the
made the
Gen X.
camera.
He really is barely. I'm barely Gen X. Yeah, you're kind of
Mhm.
boomery, Rob. You're Boomer X or something. You know, that should be your like. You should be a product name, Boomer X. You know, I kind of like that. Actually.
He was born on the
My
cusp.
older sister is a quintessential boomer.
Yeah?
I'm not.
Okay.
Essential.
Quintessential. Boomer X.
Quintessential boomer.
Quintessential is kind of.
I love her
boomer
dearly.
word.
We get along
It
great,
is.
but definitely, I'm definitely from a different generation than her.
Mm.
Oh,
You know, I was listening to a couple. I don't know. I stumbled upon if I can't find anything to listen to, I'll see what Joe Rogan, who he interviewed, because he's hit or miss, right? One out of every 8 or 10 is like a good one for him. And I found Chris Robinson, the guy from Black Crows. Remember them?
Oh, yeah.
okay,
Right?
Yeah.
Great fucking interview. And then I stumbled across, because somebody told me that he also did an interview with Bill Maher's Club Random. And I listened to that because I was, out and about today a little bit. And I'm like, fantastic interviews. And this guy, he's 57, I think, or 58 now. He is the quintessential Gen Xer. He epitomizes the whole fucking attitude of Gen X. And he never caved in. He never gave in. He's just always been like that, kind of like a hippie rebel Gen X. Fuck you. I'm doing it my own way. And you don't like it. That's tough shit. Eddie Vedder style. You know what I mean? It's just a fascinating guy. And I listening to this and I'm thinking about, Gen Z or whatever the hell, my nephews and nieces generation. And I look at what a great, massive difference there is. And I wonder, just delving back into D&D, it's kind of an amazing thing that we could all play the same game, right? Between boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and now the alpha generation coming in, right? And we're all playing the same fucking game still, all having a good time, but we have slightly different expectations, slightly different, ways we want the game to be or run or feel like and all that, but we're still playing the same fucking game with funny dice. It's kind of a cool thing, man.
All right, we are, but a lot of the creatives are not. Okay, there's a separation between the way the game is at the table,
yeah,
and the way the corporation would like it to be. And I think we're seeing that.
What
now.
do you mean? You delve into that, man. What are you saying here?
Well, listen. We could go to the artwork and talk about the dwarves wearing. No, the dwarves wearing sandals in a forge.
The sombreros or something.
No, with cats and cookies being baked.
No,
blows my. That's not D&D to me, but that's the D&D that is being pushed with. And by the way, people that have seen the new Player's Handbook, the ones that are giving a more honest opinion on it, are saying that it's kind of like going from 3.0 to 3.5.
Really?
While it isn't a new edition altogether,
some tweaks.
The changes are enough that it's not the same game. It's not compatible, even though it can look and feel.
Yeah.
I heard they were going to give it a new name instead of 2024. Is going to be called Cafes and Comrades.
Oh God, the little red. Are we talking about the little red book version, Greg? Is that coming out too?
Well, the color palette is horrible. That's the thing. It's like pastels and purples.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, listen, I'm an old school gamer. My aesthetics are I love the black and white, but I love the colors. I love the color plates that were in the AD&D 2-week core books, and that's why first time I went, my God,
agreed.
You can put color in this shit, and it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the artwork isn't artistically bad, but it's not conveying the subject matter unless you want to say that your subject matter is no longer about confrontation and defeating evil. It's whatever the new expectations are. But if you're going to bring things to the digital tabletop, right, which is what WotC admits that's they got their monetization designer they're bringing in, or coordinator, whatever the title was, the person that's going to make you want to keep coming back as a player and put more money into WotC machine,
Mhm.
that's all digital, and that's where they're betting their money. And if you talk to the consumers, if you talk to gamers, if you talk to Rob's gonna tell them that that's the dumbest thing they could fucking do, because people like playing with their friends, and we do. We play over Roll20 with this group, but you know what?
Mhm.
We bust everybody's balls just as if we were around the same table with Gatorade and Twinkies and Mountain
Mhm.
Dew,
Nothing
and
changes. Yeah.
it doesn't change.
Well,
But
we got to
there,
worry about blood pressure now if we drink and have too much salt.
ah,
We have to. I mean, some things change, Eric.
I'm having palpitations.
There's less hair in general around the table than there ever was.
Well,
No.
the head is around the table. Is
Speak
on
for
the
yourself,
table.
bro.
Hey, I got the hair still, but there's some of us.
My point of view is that, except for rare instances like when they totally fucked up 4E and they knew it,
Mhm.
uh, whoever was running TSR or Wizards, or no, I guess basically Hasbro, they never had the interest of the hobby at heart. It was always corporate interest, you know. So I mean, if the present changes drives that home for people, great. But I never was under any illusion that those sitting in Lake Geneva or those sitting in Renton, Washington, ever had my interest at heart. If it turns out like when they were releasing those reprints and soliciting everybody's opinion to the run up of 5E, or when Tim and I first came in and they had that terrific run of Dragon magazine from like number 38 into what was it, the 60s or whatever, then great. But when it turns into late 1E era, 2E era, oh well. I mean,
But Rob, there's a difference. Okay, I'm going to show you what the difference is right now. Up until and including when Ray Winnegar was president of WotC, and Mike Marles was the brand manager of D&D. Sure, making profit was a huge aspect, but they were still gamers at heart, and they understood gaming.
Yep.
Up through third edition, we were getting, well, actually, no. Up through second edition, we were getting new settings all the time to the point where it was ridiculous, all right?
Yeah. But
Third
it started,
edition,
Eric, it started well. It started with that. This is first edition, and it went downhill from here. This is the best start I've ever seen in anything.
That was great. I did. The pages annoyed me with that fake.
You didn't start with that, Joe. There's a lot before that.
No, I'm saying that this is where, in terms of second edition, this is Forgotten Realms. This is still first edition, but this is where it really ramped up. But you knew they still had gamers. They were gamers. They were making games for gamers. They played the games that we were looking for. Right. They weren't trying to cater to an audience to get new kinds of gamers. This was
but for second edition, they were pandering to they got all the stuff
by mothers who are bad. Bothered about
no more
Dungeons
demons,
and Dragons.
no more devils,
right.
no excesses.
So we had bullshit back
but
then.
Hold on a second. If they were catering to mothers against Dungeons and Dragons back with second edition, then with 5.5 or D&D 24, who are they catering to by making orcs, Mexicanos, or Spaniards that are generic? I mean, if you look at and I've had people send me copies. I don't know how they got it because Gen Con was still going, but they were sending me copies of racial descriptions, and they read so bland. And it was just like it's almost like AI, and I'm not accusing anybody at WotC of using AI, but it was bland enough that AI gave you the random description of the background of the elves, the background of the orcs, because you could have changed it around, and it would have made no difference. Orcs are no longer evil. I'm guessing goblins aren't now either, or any of that stuff. I don't know. It's kind of like they've taken World of Warcraft, where it's like, oh, we need to have orcs as a playable race. Well, you had half orcs as a playable race before. Oh no, that was not half orcs. That was a product of
I hate to shock you, Eric, but
what? I had the book of humanoid.
Eric's a fucking playable race in this, and I wrote this in 09.
Hey, I think this is actually an interesting thing here because funny, I did a search. I remember doing a blog about that TSR's Code of Ethics back in the day, and I just found my blog is down from ancient days. I never deleted it, but it's down. But I found it. Here it is. I'll show it to you because there's probably a shit ton of people who don't know what the fuck we're talking about with this Code of Ethics. So here it is. This is funny because, hey guys, 5th podcast is up, the Anchor podcast. Here's a follow up, blah blah blah. Tim Shores from Gothridge Matters voicemail, blah blah blah. Here's the Code of Ethics, though, right? Now we're getting into the nitty gritty of it. All right. Once you get down to all right here, number 1, good versus evil. Evil shall never be portrayed in an attractive light and shall be used only as a foe to illustrate a moral issue. All products shall focus on the struggle of good versus injustice and evil, casting the protagonist as an agent of right. Archetypes, heroes, villains, etc. shall be used only to illustrate a moral issue. Satanic symbology, rituals, and phrases shall not appear in TSR products, all bold. All right, big. All right, so agents of law enforcement. Number 2, cannot be disrespected in any way, shape, or form. It looks like right.
I lived a different experience, but okay.
Yeah. Crimes and criminals. Crime shall not be presented in such a way as to promote or distrust of law enforcement agents or agencies to inspire others with desire to imitate criminals. So, what is the Thieves Guild about then?
Well, Tim, there goes our Thieves Guild
right?
campaign in your character, Dane.
Right?
No, remember when this stuff came out, we had already jumped the GURP. So
you weren't even doing it. But look at this.
Player character thieves. Go ahead, Joe.
Player character thieves are constantly encouraged to act towards the common good. How is that a thief then?
Don't
monsters.
Steal from your fellow players. Don't steal from
thief with the heart of gold.
Check out monsters though. Monsters in TSR game systems can have good or evil goals. As foes of the protagonist, evil monsters should be able to be clearly defeated in some fashion. TSR recognizes the ability of an evil creature to change its ways and become beneficial, and does not exclude this possibility in the writing of this code. Profanity, obscenity, smut, vulgarity will not be used.
There goes the Wenchers table in the DMG.
Damn it, right? The use of drama or horror is acceptable in a product or environment. However, the detailing of sordid vices or excessive gore shall be avoided. There goes everything Tim has ever written in his entire life. All right?
I love it.
How about James Raggy?
Number 8.
Yeah. Number 8, violence and gore. That's Tim's entire campaign. Lurid scenes of excessive bloodshed, gory or gruesome crimes, depravity, lust, filth, sadism, and masochism presented in text or graphically are unacceptable. Scenes of unnecessary violence, extreme brutality, physical agony, and gore, including but not limited to extreme graphic or descriptive scenes presenting cannibalism, decapitation, evisceration, amputation, or other gory injuries should be avoided. Should be avoided. Oh, never getting good. Sexual themes. Sexual themes of all types should be avoided. Rape and graphic lust should never be portrayed as discussed. Explicit sexual activity shall not be portrayed. The concept of love or affection for another is not considered part of this definition. Nudity. And here we go. We're getting rid of the AD&D succubus. Nudity is only acceptable graphically when done in a manner that complies with good taste and moral standards. Degrading or salacious depiction is unacceptable. Graphic display of reproductive organs or any facsimiles. There goes the Swords and Wizardry flaming infected vagina picture on their old cover. That remember that one that came out?
Swords and that wasn't
the chick version. Remember that one? Yeah. Yes. Greg's girlfriend Stacy D did that one, if I remember right.
I'm talking about Eldritch Wizardry, right?
Oh,
on a sacrificial woman on
yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. Oh, here, affliction. It's a new one. Disparaging or graphic or textual references to physical afflictions, handicaps, and deformities are unacceptable. Reference to actual afflictions or handicaps is acceptable only when portrayed or depicted in a manner that is favorably educates the consumer on the affliction and in no way promotes disrespect. Jesus Christ. Matters of race.
Monty Python RPG.
Right? Humans and other non-monster character races and nationalities should not be inflicted as inferior to other races. All races and nationalities shall be fairly portrayed. Humans should not be inflicted as inferior? I would have thought that the other way around it would, like elves should not be inferior to humans. That's interesting.
Right.
You know, slavery is not to be depicted in a favorable light, should only be represented as a cruel and inhuman institution to be abolished. Oh, religion and mythology. The use of religion in TSR products is to assist in clarifying the struggle between good and evil again. Shocker. Actual current religions are not to be depicted, ridiculed, or attacked in any way that promotes disrespect. Ancient or mythological religions, such as those prevalent in ancient Grecian, Roman, and Norse societies, may be portrayed in historical roles in compliance with this code of ethics. Any depiction of any fantasy religion is not intended as a presentation of an alternative form of worship. That is directed to the fucking Bible moms in fucking wherever. Redneck states. That's it. That's big. Magic, science, and technology. Fantasy literature is distinguished by the presence of magic, super science, or artificial technology that exceeds natural law. The devices are to be portrayed as fictional and used for dramatic effect. This should not appear to be drawn from reality. Actual rituals, so if you got Aleister Crowley's books or the Golden Dawn books, like spells, incantations, sacrifices, etc., weapon designs like the wavy daggers for sacrificial daggers, illegal devices, and other activities of criminal or distasteful nature should not be presented or provided as a reference. Narcotics and alcohol. Fuck you, as I'm having a sip of my old-fashioned right now.
I'll hold again.
Narcotic and alcohol abuse shall not be presented except as a dangerous habits. Fuck you, bitch. Such abuse should be dealt with by focusing on the harmful effects. Every game in D&D starts at a fucking bar, and you're saying you can't talk about booze in any kind of fun way?
It's a near beer. I only have the near beer. I don't have a real
Jesus
beer.
It's a juice bar, Joe. Come on.
Yeah, juice bar. The distinction here, the concept of self in role-playing games. The distinction between players and player characters shall be strictly observed. It is standard TSR policy not to use you in its advertising or role-playing games to suggest that the users of the game systems are actually taking part in the adventure. This goes back to that James Dallas Egbert bullshit where they thought he got so obsessed with the fucking game and killed himself. Right. It should always be clear that the player's imaginary character is taking part in whatever imaginary action happens during gameplay. For example, you don't attack the orcs, your character Hrothgar attacks the orcs. Live action role playing. LARPing, Rob. Here we go. LARPing. It is TSR policy.
And you said it first. You said it first.
Well, I did, but I had to get it in.
You're telling me this is a Rob Conley exclusion?
This is the Rob Connolly clause. This is what we're dealing with here, right? It is TSR policy to not support any live action role playing game system, no matter how non-violent the style of gaming is said to be. This is why Rob went to GURPS, ladies and gentlemen.
So
TSR.
For people who don't know, I mean, there were two things that late TSR was known to be
riled up now. Here we go.
Completely irrational about is anything that has to do with live action role playing. Even though by the early '90s, people figured out a pretty safe way of dealing with it, and two, anything dealing with the internet. So
yeah. TSR recognizes the physical dangers of live action role playing. Now it would be for us to be more like I broke a hip, I blew a knee out, but recognizes the physical dangers of live action role playing that promotes its participants to do more than simply imagine in their minds what the characters are doing and does not wish any game to be harmful. Historical representations. While TSR may depict certain historical situations, institutions, or attitudes in a game product, it should not be construed that TSR condones these practices. Then with the plagiarism, blah, 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 Jim Butler, fuck you up the ass. All right, that's it. So that's, yeah, so guys.
I think you're kind of making my point here that,
about fucking up the ass?
Even though, Joe, I mean, yes, we have.
Yes.
Joe.
He's not yesing that, Joe.
Oh, okay.
Stop, Joe. Stop.
Where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to scroll to?
Nowhere. I just say the entire code is a bunch of BS back then. We're dealing with another set of BS. Even though creatively today's BS is different than the 2A BS, it's still all the same kind of BS, all to the same purpose, the catering to some audience and represents a bunch of creative decisions. It's different, but it's just exactly the same. So I'm not going to get worked up over it. I'm just going to make my shit, and if people like it, great.
That's right.
Don't like it.
That's
They
what I've been doing.
pound sand. Damn it.
Hmm.
Well,
There's no point in kowtowing to anybody. Just do what you want and stand by it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. If
It goes back
has
to
a
the
problem,
that Chris Robinson thing. He's like, I don't give in. I don't give a shit. I do it the way I want. I could have done more maybe, but whatever. I just did it the way I like. Frank, I did it my way. Frank Sinatra, right? I mean, he does it his own way, and he's successful and he's happy. If he compromises moral principles, he would be disgusted with himself. Like, look what Raji did. He just came out. He's having Zach is back, right? And one of the most depressing things Raji's ever did, he's talked about it multiple times, is caving into the fucking pressure of canceling Raji because and it hurt his sales, everything, and he got killed.
Well, here's the thing. When you appease the mob, the mob doesn't get satiated.
Never.
They don't calm down. They smell blood and they generally want more. That's why, like I've been watching like current events going on in England. And when I see police retreat from a mob, I just go, all right, well, I should just break out a beer and enjoy the beating that's going to happen, because it's going to turn into a riot of law enforcement. Because once law enforcement breaks, the only way they return to that scene is as a mob themselves. So mobs don't. When you appease a mob, they are no longer. They don't go, oh well, great, you. No, you're just there for the beating. So what happened with Raggy is not only did Raggy say, hey, listen, I'm going to appease the mob, and I'll tell James this. He was appeasing the mob before he made any decision on Zach. When he brought in Stacey D. To do
the marketing person.
And she insisted, because she went from loving the OSR to hating the OSR.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, Lamentations of the Flame Princess is not OSR. You listen to fucking
what?
James.
What?
That was
she said that?
She said that because
holy shit.
For her, the OSR was a lover that spurned her, and she wanted nothing to do with it, but so she was redefining it.
I know who you're talking about too. Believe it or not, back in the Flailstones days, I played a lot of games with that crew, Stacey D, and I think I know who you're talking about, the lover that spurned her and all the other stuff. That whole group, I was playing a lot of games with them, and then I took a sort of a gap break, a few years off from the whole fucking scene, and then I came back just as Zach shit hit the fan, and I didn't realize she was involved with Raji until after the fact, But I know what you're talking about now.
Well, here's the thing I'm concerned about is that how do we distinguish between a situation like Zach, who we know that can be challenged in personal interactions with the rest of the hobby, but nonetheless, that wasn't the issue with why Raggy broke off contact with him, versus what happened with Judges Guild.
Right.
Well, I think
that's always the challenge.
I think this is an issue, Rob. So in the big 5 psychological traits, one of them is agreeableness to disagreeableness. And people who are super agreeable get walked all over. And people who are super disagreeable are people like Zach Smith, Jeffro Johnson, people who really stick to their guns.
Jeffro's the Broasar dude.
Broasar guy, right? And Pundit is another example. They're so disagreeable that it's, for me personally, like, even though all 3 of those guys that do work that I think is very admirable, and the writing is good, all kinds of stuff, but interacting with them is so painful that I just avoid it. Just like
with Pundit, I have a little bit of a personal knowledge because I worked with him moderating the RPG site for a while, and it's only when you stand between him and the commercial promotion of his game, when that's not involved, he's actually pleasant to deal with.
Well, I think you're wrong. You just don't have enough dimensions of interacting with it. I follow him on Twitter, and I watch him get into fights with people about the most trivial bullshit constantly.
Yeah, that's an act. He's putting on an act. I've seen him do this behind the scenes. It's all an act. He has a character he plays on his podcast, on his anytime he's speaking to a general audience, he plays a character.
I remember back in the old days on his blog, Rob, he used to do the Hunter S. Thompson swine shit all the time. Like he was trying to take on that persona, that the mantle of Hunter S. Thompson back in the WordPress blog he used to have back in the day. So you might be right on that. I don't know. But I can honestly say, though, I know what you're saying, Greg, about the traits of disagreeableness and all that. And I think there's something that the internet does to somebody in that group, that just blind interaction that we have, not, just keyboard warrior shit. Because every time I played with Zach on the internet, Google Hangouts and all that shit, and every time I was with him in person, pleasant dude, fun, enjoyable. You like to hang out with the guy. You know what I mean? And then he gets into the fights online. It's like, oh God, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think it's just that in order to be somebody who really charts a new innovative path, you have to be disagreeable to some extent, because you can't get sucked in by everybody else's comments on you.
You gotta be a rebel.
You should do this, you should do that, whatever. Yeah, but you can't turn that off.
Yeah.
Then, Greg, I'm gonna slightly disagree, because a lot of this stuff, starting with this, I have a skill system here. I know I called it abilities, and Joe, you corrected me on that.
Hate
but
that,
but I had a skill system, and when I first started promoting it, more than often I would get, well, you have skills and stuff, and rather than arguing about it, I said, look, in my campaign, when I'm doing this sandbox, players want to do other stuff other than spellcasting and combat, and more importantly, they want to be better at these other things. So this is my way of accommodating that, so they can be better at being a merchant, being better at diplomacy. Yeah, I know that's not the main focus of most of these games, but that's my focus. So, and when I put it like that, the arguments go way down.
I think Flint made a good point there. You have to have a point of view. No point of view is no clicks. This goes back to the Howard Stern shock jock shit against, what was that other guy who croaked a while back?
Rush Limbaugh.
No, his nemesis, Stern's nemesis. Who was that fucking guy?
Don Amos or Don?
Yes, Amos. Don Imus. Yeah, and they both had to outrageousness each other. You know what I mean? And now look at Howard. He's a fucking bitch, right? He does these bullshit, boring ass interviews. He got all seduced by the Hollywood shit. And he's no longer throwing pieces of bologna in naked girls' asses. So it's like he's,
Howard got his start on the Imus show.
Yeah, ironic, huh?
Ironic. I still remember the skit from back in, I don't know, my high school days, Hillel Street Blues. And it was Don Imus and Howard Stern doing Hillel Street Blues. And it was the Jewish precinct, the Hillel Street Blues. And that was the shock jock humor for New York back at the time. Early 80s. And then once, Howard started getting his own following, the blood between those two started getting really bad, because I'm assuming Imus was like, you should be kissing the ring.
Mm-hmm. I got you started. You're getting my crowd, all that. Yeah. Imus is in the morning and Howard's in the afternoon for the drive home, right? At the time. And so
after the start. And then it went to shit.
Well, I propose an alternative path, and that's I would call it the Kevin Crawford path, which is, you don't argue much. You just put out a lot of useful shit.
Yeah. And the people bitch about it. If you don't hear it, it's like the tree in the woods. If you don't hear the bitching, if not on social media, is there really any bitching? Is there really any attack? Really, I'd think about it. The only thing you might see is some net sales drops. But, if you don't read the bullshit, it doesn't affect you at all. Who gives a shit?
I know. You have no idea all the stuff I've been saying about you, Joe.
I know. That's good.
I believe, Flint said you have to have a point of view. No point of view equals no click. Well, pointing out a lot of useful stuff is a point of view. You're saying, here's my stuff, enjoy it. And hopefully you have...
but he's talking about point of view. He's talking, it's a point of view, but it's a personality that they're looking at.
Yeah.
People want
genuine persons. people.
or ingenuine persons. All right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they want authenticity, and,
They do.
putting out
I mean-
useful stuff is a form of authenticity.
it is, but like listen. You pointed out yourself, Rob, that the pundit's personality online is not authentic. But it's not authentic because he's looking to drive up a little drama and interaction and noise to get his work looked at. Obviously, he feels that it is successful. I mean, I was treated with. I felt at home when I was on Inappropriate Characters.
It was a good show. I listened to it. It was a good show, man.
I was treated very well, and I was actually asked if like, hey, listen, if Wenger can't make it, would you be willing to fill in one day? I'm like, I'd be happy to. But again, like when I first started doing my own podcast, I was like, oh man, I gotta get a podcasting voice. I gotta get rid of.
I remember your early voice.
I remember that.
Yes, I remember your early voice.
Oh,
I gotta
bad.
I gotta get rid of that New York accent. I gotta get.
Good thing I'm partially deaf, Eric. Eh?
Yeah.
I don't know about this.
Oh, it
Oh,
was funny. It was funny.
So great.
I don't know. I don't even know.
I think I called you up, Eric, and like yelled at you, like, "What the hell are you doing?"
And then I listened to it. And I went, "Oh my god, that sounds like shit." So now,
Yeah.
listen. Do I get people who bust on me, even the cons? Hey, I know that New York accent anywhere. I'm like, oh. And I'm getting somebody from Boston going, "Yeah, I listen to your show all the time, and I got that. You hear that Boston twang. I love your New York accent. It's so authentic." Well, it better be because I lived here my whole life. I don't think I have an accent. Honestly, I don't think I do.
Yeah, you do. You do, Eric.
That's a humorous thing to say, Eric.
I'm
Don't
just
say it that
telling
way.
the truth. Oh my god.
Hey guys, do Tim and I have an accent?
No.
We're just
not as
Some
distinctive.
people say I have an accent. I don't know. I mean, we're not as bad as Pittsburghese. We definitely don't have that.
Pittsburghese.
no.
That's the thing.
We're general
It's that,
Midwest
you
here.
know Yinzers when you hear them. Oh yeah, they have their own. They got their own accent.
Yeah,
Definitely.
they don't have a northeastern PA accent. The northeastern PA accent was things like living room suite. I'm like, what the fuck is a living room suite?
What is
living
it?
room suite. A living room suite. Like you get furniture for your living room.
Yep.
And people are like, we bought a new living room suite. I was like, what the hell are they talking about? Oh, they got a new sofa and chairs.
Yeah.
Oh, living room suite. Okay. Can Eric come out and play? That's northeastern PA. So I mean, I was Eric.
Well, you and Joe, Eric, sound like you ought to be on The Sopranos. That's how it sounds to me.
You know,
Hey.
somebody made a comment. I don't know where it was about one of my podcasts. When I first started the YouTube channel, he says, "This guy is going to make it." He sounds like it was Robert De Niro talking about D&D. Like what?
I like that. Hey,
Hey. Hey.
I'm with
hey, you
Tim.
like
It's
it in
pop.
game? I break your face. You don't play it right. You know what I'm saying? I love you, man.
take
I love
it.
you. By the way, Bad Mike has a very good point, and we've said this in the past. It bears repeating. You have to remember that 90% of gamers aren't connected like most of us are. If you're watching this channel, if you watch these live streams, if you watch any live streams about gaming, you are more connected than the vast majority of tabletop gamers.
All right, quick poll, guys. Greg,
Yes.
what is this?
Water bottle.
Okay.
He wants to know
Is it Coke, pop, or soda?
Oh,
Soda.
soda, I'd say. But Coke is very common down here in Atlanta.
I was going to say,
me and Tim is
that's
pop.
from motherland down there. Yeah.
Yeah, I would call it a soda.
Okay.
Now, if that was alcohol in an actual soda bottle, that's a road cola. Just
A what?
A road cola.
I like that. I like that. I'm going to use that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a road cola, and if you're asking why I know that, it has nothing to do with being in New York, or it has everything to do with being a cop.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah, you got any road colas or road sodas with you? Because usually the road cola was was something with Coke. You know, your whiskey and your Coke, it's your rum and your Coke, it's your whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you can find in your bottle of Coke. But yeah, it's a road soda.
I like that.
Yeah, I never heard that one before.
I'm going to use it. If a cop pulls me over, Eric, can I say it's not booze, actually, officer? It's
booze,
road
it's
cola.
Road. And if they're older, they might look at you and they'll turn off their body cam.
Proceed to beat your ass.
Because if you're going to acknowledge what it is that they think it is, they can't do that on the cam. 1 second.
Okay.
If you're talking about what I think you're talking about, do me a favor, pour it out, and then drive home.
Pour it out and then drive home.
Yeah. No cop is going to tell you to keep your road soda. So,
this is why God made nips, though. Why do you have road soda if God invented nips for you? You know what I mean?
Because empty nips would just stay in your car for like decades.
You throw them out the window. What do you mean? Throw them in your
throw them out the window.
And that, folks, is why Connecticut looks the way it does.
They actually recently passed a law that says you get like some kind of bottle redemption, like a nickel for a nip or something like that. And they weren't making hardly any money off it because I'm like, you jackasses, these fucking morons who passed this fucking law don't understand that a nip is a working man's. I gotta have a couple before I get home and deal with the wife and kids. That's what a nip is for. And so you hit the fucking store on the way home, you drink a couple on the way, you throw them out the fucking window because you don't want the wife to catch you, right? Right, and then you have a fucking breath mint. You walk in the door prepared for your loins are properly girded for the onslaught of bullshit you got to deal with. That's what a nip exists for. Huh? I like to pregame it before I hit the bar. You know what I mean? So there's a trail of nips along the way to my local establishment.
Yeah. No, I'm going to point something out to you.
Yeah.
You're also the only single person on this.
I am. Okay. But I've seen it, Eric. I've seen the men in the bar, in the liquor store, picking up the nips on their way home from work, and I'm like, I know. Not married, but I know.
Never done that myself. I just stop at the bar and have a few, but.
Oh yeah, well, nips are cheaper. Nips are cheaper, and plus you got spies. You got your wife's spies are out there, like checking up on you. You can't deal with that, dude.
You've let her befriend all the people that might.
That's the problem. Greg knows. Yeah. Greg knows. That's it. And plus, with the fucking internet now, I mean, Facebook. Everybody's like the fucking Stasi, for fuck's sake. So yeah, you don't need that shit.
That's Stasi.
Does Joe the lawyer have to drink to deal with himself? Sometimes.
I haven't gotten to that comment yet.
Rick knows he's had the experience a lot lately.
Yeah. Coke, Pepsi, Pop. Jeez, there's a lot of comments we got going as I was ranting away here.
Ben wants to know if he has a Texas accent. You have uno pequeño Texas.
He has a little something going on there. Yeah. He does have a little something going on.
It's soft. It's
That's an insult to a Texan. Better.
It's big, but it's soft.
Better send him a blue pill, Eric. Make up for it.
It's cuddly, Mike. It's cuddly. If you want to know exactly, it's a cuddly. I just want to give you a hug. That's it.
Well, you do say you're a D&D wives on Wednesday nights, so I don't, whatever goes on, whatever, it's up to you guys. I don't know. Whatever works, man.
By the way, Bad Mike commented earlier that he was cleaning up the house because his wife was due home. Now he just said it at 8:41 that
he did say that.
Tonight. So that means last night when he was he's been cleaning this house for 24 hours, Eric.
In prep.
Mike,
what the hell happened, Bad Mike?
What the hell messes your house?
Mike is no true Texan. Just saying.
Is this risky business going on in your home?
What have you been cleaning up, buddy?
Did you not put the lotion back in the bucket or something?
I actually reminded him that. I said to him when he brought it up the first time, I said, make sure you put away all the lotion. And he said, thanks for the reminder. So it should be cleaned up.
This is like that's that thing when you remember Chris Rock had that old skit when he's talking about guys who like the wives and the girlfriends are out, and you pop that tape in the VCR, and it's like nobody's gonna hear you cry. You know. Anybody remember this thing? Anybody?
You just went to a dark and scary place, Joe. Please,
I know.
Please light the torch and lead us out of here.
Too dark for me, Joe. Too dark for me. Oh my God.
Can you tell we had no agenda or anything to talk about tonight, guys? As usual.
I'm out of. You know,
I came in strong out of the gate. Where? Not my fault. You're being left behind.
My wife.
Wow.
Damn.
I got a minute of exercise laughing my ass off. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Get heart strong by laughing. Very nice. Very good.
Laughing is good for you. That's why we're here, guys. We're here to make your hearts better. That's all. That's what we're here for, really. If you think about it.
Well, there was a discussion on Twitter this week, Joe, about kind of Gygaxian dungeons versus dungeons being a
real place that makes sense.
Mythic place where you don't need to know what the Balrog's doing when he's not.
That's bullshit.
At the surface of more, when he's not coming up from the depths. But yeah, there was a bunch of talk about that, and I thought about your toilet issues.
I do have many.
I was too busy writing this week to get involved with that. But maybe you need to get a Twitter account so that you can argue with all these people.
God, a Twitter. I mean, that's just no. That can't be a good thing.
Yeah, O'Neill Flynn's in on the Basic Expert made a video about the mythic underworld that set it off. He's another example.
Wow,
he got to the point where he lost his agreeableness, and he went off on some stuff. It was like, you're wrong.
There were
you're
debates
wrong.
about Gygaxian dungeons versus mythic dungeons versus realistic dungeons in 2009.
What?
I know.
There's going to be debates about that.
It keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take all that. That's fine. Just make it fun and interesting.
That's all that matters. I mean, whatever floats your boat. Honestly, if you like the bullshit dungeons, fine. Play in an inferior dungeon. But but on the flip side, if you want a realistic thing, the orcs, it matters where they shit. It really does, honestly. It really does.
Your dungeon have a shitter.
It should.
Not, call
should.
Joe the lawyer at 188 shit now. Joe is waiting for your call.
Well, here let me ask you this then, Joe. Just to play devil's advocate here, because I see both sides in this.
Yeah.
But does your dungeon keep going down until it just stops and there's kind of like it's a structure built by an intelligent being for a purpose? It's not or does it keep going down to like the Underdark? Does it keep getting deeper and deeper? Yeah.
I mean, ideally, no dungeon design in the Gygaxian style of like corridors and doors makes any economic architectural sense, right? Why would somebody do that? You wouldn't have that sort of a thing. The cost required, the time and the expense and all that just doesn't make any fucking sense. And so the most natural thing for me would be a dungeon that actually starts as like a cavern that's expanded off of with a room here, a room there, and then you find some other natural caverns once you like a mine. You dig some more and you find, there's another cavern. I'll make something out of this and let's dig over and let's go east, young man. And next thing you find another cavern or something else, right? Or a pit or a crevice or something like that. So that to me is a more naturalistic dungeon where you're just joining natural caverns and adding some things into it. And then it could go deeper, it could go wide, whatever makes sense. But nobody's just going to start making an underground. Nobody's going to start making an underground Empire State Building. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense for them to do that. It would expand upon what's there.
That doesn't make any sense for you.
Yeah.
Look at that clean house behind it.
Right, look at that.
Oh,
look at that.
Man.
Look at that.
You still got the gloves on, Mike? You got the.
I got look. It's cleaned up. The dishwasher's rolling. The washer and dryer rolling. The Roombas have been going all day. I think I got it.
Is the apron still on?
No, and I have no pants on either, so I won't stand up while I'm here.
Right.
Well, yeah, don't have to.
But unfortunately, the pants will have to go on when my wife gets back, which sucks. Joe knows how that is.
That sounds backwards.
You don't wear pants.
What?
I don't wear pants. No,
no. You don't wear pants around the house when your wife's gone.
No, I don't. I'm not married. I don't have to worry about that.
That's
bullshit.
what I'm saying.
Around
Joe never wears pants. Joe
naked,
probably
I want to be naked. Yeah.
There was a couple times the last month when I got up to go to the local Quick Trip to get something, and I was halfway out the door before I realized I only had my underwear on. Oh yeah, that's right. I gotta roll somewhere because I had no pants on all day.
Is that a Jack Daniels issue or just a single guy for a week issue? What are we dealing with there?
I think that's just reality. Oh man.
One time in the 2010 for the local game store up in Edinburgh, I made a mega dungeon, and like Joe, I like to rationalize my dungeon. And what this is these are not
top view or a side view.
Well, this is the main cavern, and each square is like I think I made each square like 50 feet. And this is actually supposed to be a cavern with a river running through it, and out here is the main fortifications for that the dwarves built. That there used to be a natural entrance. The dwarves built essentially a castle to seal it in. But over in here, these were once complexes. Oops.
Looks like a 16-bit video game missile or something.
Yeah, it does. It looked like Missile Command going on there or something. Yeah.
But there are these. I have what I call living quarters, which are about 6 levels stacked on top of each other, where the dwarves lived and have their workshop. And then I had these other levels off the main cavern, which were built for other purposes. And so I built this whole thing, and then I built this on the top of each of the complex. There's an upper level just below the mountain surface that there's an alternative way to get to all these stacks on the side of the cavern. But I built this whole thing architecturally because, like Joe, I just can't stand building a dungeon that's just a random conglomeration of rooms. And so basically, I just try to think about how it is. And then basically to turn it into the dungeon I ran, the dragon took it over and turned it into an evil city. So part of it's in ruin, part of them are occupied by monsters now. And that's how I presented it to the players.
But and just to continue to play devil's advocate, Basic Expert's position was if you went down into Tartarus as a Greek hero, you wouldn't be like, why did they build this room like this? It doesn't make sense. It's an evil place with motives beyond you. Not kind of like Cthulhu a little bit, I get you, but not totally incomprehensible, but it's weird or wrong. Like Joe, when you had that place where all the Mongol men were and the land was fucked up by the magic, right? The player doesn't, the character doesn't know why the thing is the way it is, and that might be okay. That might be.
Well, in the case of Tartarus, that would be an example of a mythic dungeon. So yeah, all the the gloves are off on those kinds of dungeons. They are essentially built for a mythic purpose and follow mythic logic. And if you figure it out, good for you. But it's not going to follow Joe's toilet logic.
Toilet logic? I love it.
Yeah, that's a good term for Joe's toilet logic.
I
like that. Yeah.
That's why Joe has an 800 number. Come on. All right.
Hey.
In
900, Eric.
Now,
900.
people will be arguing over
900.
where Joe's toilet logic came as a form of dungeon design.
To Joe, 900 is for the toilet vice. The 888 number is where they can call to sign up. But if they want to get charged by the minute, then that's the, then we go for the 900 number. That's like like phone sex, but it's gonna be toilets. It's gonna be toilet dungeons.
So if you've been through a Frank Mansford dungeon, Frank Mansford uses kind of, I don't know if this is ultra realism or ultra gonzoism, but he has dungeon cleaners because his thing is, dungeons get dirty and there's stuff laying around everywhere. So there has to be somebody that runs around and cleans up the dungeon. So if you're in one of Frank's mega dungeons, you've got dungeon cleaners. These guys, you'll see some ogres and they're shoveling shit or they're, putting bones in a bag or something. They're clearing the dungeon out.
Got gelatinous cubes to the game.
Right. I don't like it. I don't like that. That's too gonzo for me. I don't dig dungeon cleaners, or he would have all these kind of modern magical type things in his dungeons that would basically reset the dungeon. Well, how else do traps reset in mega dungeons? Well, somebody comes along and resets it all. So there's dungeon trap resetters. There's dungeon,
you got your maintenance crew.
Basically, maintenance crew.
Yeah, Joe Blanc does that with Castle of the Night Archmage. So I mean, my gaming group, Joe got mad at us because people like Doug kept on pointing out the what was it, the 5%?
That was me. I kept on pointing out the 5% grade. I kept on saying I checked for 5%, slopes.
That's why I
figured if I got enough of them, I could make 100% slope. So
there you go. That's why I was like, Joe, you need to issue maps that are made for VTTs and don't have labeling on it.
See, I can't run Mythical Dungeon or Mythical Underworld with my group because I've had some of the same people in my group for almost 50 years now, and I would just it would just devolve into an argument every session, like, well, who locked this door? Well, it locked because it's the Mythic Underworld. Fuck the Mythic Underworld, man. Who locked the door?
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Why is it locked?
The door open, and so I don't understand why the door. And it would be an argument every 30 minutes if I try to do anything Mythical Underworld, where all the monsters can automatically see in the dark.
Okay.
And they never set off traps and this blah, blah. No. My group, it has to be even. There has to be even. Whatever's good for the monsters is good for them, and vice versa. And so I've accepted that, and I prefer to run it that way. And I have latrines in my dungeon because right now they're going through Door Deep, and it was a dwarven stronghold. So of course the dwarves had to take a crap somewhere.
Yeah, big craps too for dwarves.
Wasn't just mystically disappearing. And so yes, I have all that stuff because if I don't, my group would just they ask me stuff like that. Where are the toilets? They'll ask me, where are the toilets in here? There's no toilets in here.
I get it. I get it.
This is a terrible dungeon. There's no toilets. It's gotta be toilets.
I got a nice treat. I got a good treat here for you, Mike, and everybody in the audience. I don't know if it'll work. I'm gonna see. All right, let's see if you could hear Eric's early podcast voice, guys. I found one.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I hope. Here we go. This is number 10. For some reason, the first
one. I screwed up and I deleted the initial ones by mistake.
That's it. They're all fucked up. I couldn't find a good one, but the number 10 is a good Eric fucking bitch voice.
The best one.
I think it still carries over. I hope it plays. I hope you guys could hear it. Let's see. You hear it?
No.
Oh, no, really? Oh, no.
Play it over your speakers or something.
All right, I will. Hold on. Let me put my headset to my speaker like a ghetto-ass bullshit production system here.
There you go.
Hold on a minute. Here we go.
Tim, what we were trying to do for our role
responds White Star. Now, they both approach things differently, but the thing with White Star is that White Star opened up a support market for sci-fi gaming in the OSR.
Who the hell is this person?
Yes.
Generic white man.
OGL.
It is. You sound so white.
Kevin stuff, the star's number, is not. And I don't know if anybody's reached out to Kevin and tried to publish support material for it. I have no idea. I'm not in that loop, but I've seen what the release.
That would be like if I.
How is it?
Wow.
How was that, guys?
If I talked like Bo for all my parts, it wouldn't fly very well.
Well, that is a very nice and interesting voice, Eric.
Yeah, it's very pleasant. And
I see, man.
It's not going to offend anybody.
I thought the voice was very good.
It
was a very good voice.
You should have tried a Scottish accent.
I'm
telling you, you could be from the Highlands and everything.
Does Eric have sinus surgery?
You might annoy your party members a little bit there, Robert.
I was trying to do the
He's trying to do
unaccented voice for the podcast.
I think your voice
I
was just fine,
sound like
buddy.
a
I think
douchebag.
it's really good. I think you should use the voice that you want to.
I realized I sounded like a douchebag, and I said,
because that was the early days of Anchor, and I left the message, and I'm like, "What the hell are you doing?"
I know, Tenkar, and you're not Tenkar.
You're an imposter. You're a feminized imposter.
You do the voice.
Oh, that was so funny.
I can't do a Scottish brogue. I could do a leprechaun.
Get Rach in here. She can do this. She can do all the accents. Get her on. She can do every one of those. She's good.
Listen, my accents used to get me in trouble. Remember back in the day when we were younger and had answering machines? And remember you could buy your fake celebrity answer machine message. Go ahead, make my day. Have that on your answer machine.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, I'll do my own. So I did one that was D&D related, and well, kind of, sort of. Hello, who? Eric? No. Eric can't come to phone right now. No. He's busy preparing the sacred cow for the Hindus for Satan meeting. Hand her old buddy. He'll call you back later. Oh my God, I had telemarketers calling up for that one because you'd hear them laugh.
How is that related to D&D?
It was the same Satanic Panic.
Oh, okay.
All my D&D friends were like, "Oh man, this is a D&D one." I'm like, "Yeah, not yet." And then you had the St. Patsy's one. Hello, Eric. Oh, this is Eric O'Toole. And this week's discussion topic is lecherous lesbian leprechaun lovers. Are they just a figment of an overwrought, over-intoxicated Irish imagination, or something more sinister? Please leave your thoughts after the beep. And the first person to call was my friend Kenny's mother, who's very Catholic. And,
of course,
good time.
God, she was calling looking for my friend Kenny, who got me into D&D. Called downstairs, got my mother, told my mother to call my answer machine. My mother called my answer machine, laughed hysterically, and all was good on my side of the ball.
Oh my God! I can't believe that happened.
But Vivian was very upset. That was disgusting. Lecherous lesbian. What the hell is he talking about? That's your host, folks. That's what
Yes.
By the way, did I miss the part of the show because I tuned in late where you guys talked about the latest Watson fiasco, or are we just at this point? Does it not even matter anymore? And we just whatever they did something stupid this week. We're gonna move on to something else.
What's the point?
It's starting to pile up
point?
there, Bad Mike. It's starting to pile up.
You know,
I'm hoping that this new what was the Kickstarter I linked to you yesterday, Eric? This Cosmere or something. It's like 6 million in like 2 days. Yeah, it looks like 5e D&D to me. I mean, it's all the same kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, you can download the quick start from Drive-Thru-RPG.
Oh, you can? I didn't know that. It
Yeah,
didn't
there's a link
interest me
on
at
that
all, so I
Kickstarter page.
didn't.
It's a hair under 6.5 million. Only 20 days to go. I mean,
jeez.
Yeah, didn't he have a Kickstarter a few years ago that went to like 10 million or 20 million or something like that for a series of his books?
Was that Sanderson? Yeah, Sanderson. Yeah, it was ridiculous. It went crazy.
It went astronomically high.
Good for him. You know, if you find a way to monetize that successfully, that's why I'm probably the only person here who doesn't hate Jenny D, because she found a way to monetize her hobby. Great, good for her.
Yep.
I mean, I wish I could sell myself, but I'm not pretty enough, and I don't want to dye my hair for a voice.
Good in blue hair.
No, and I wouldn't look good in those costumes. But you know, that's
nobody wants to see.
I have no problem with that.
The shape of your boobs, Mike. Nobody
Are you
wants to see how
sure?
round. I'm pretty sure. It's not gonna sell videos. It's not gonna sell YouTube ads.
Yeah, but we don't know that for certain. So
Oh no,
no, I know you're right. No, and so yeah, I don't have no problem with people monetizing the venue, and I hope that once WotC decides to abandon the 5e crowd and move straight to digital, that tons of people make lots of money on Kickstarter doing 5e clones, and that would be, I think that would be the best possible solution to the WotC problem, is just have people make money off, just like Paizo. I mean, basically just do what Paizo did with a Pathfinder, and okay, you don't want this property anymore? Sure, we'll take it, and we're going to run with it. We're gonna do like Kelsey did. And we're going to win all the awards now, and you can just keep doing. You can just keep hiring your Microsoft and Amazon and Blizzard executives and do whatever the heck you're doing over there.
So what you did miss, Bad Mike, is the wooden crate, the original.
Oh God, these crates!
It's no longer a reach around. It's we're not
and you missed the craft. You missed the craft show where you can.
He had trouble cutting up a sock. All right? we're gonna leave it. His wife gave him the dullest craft scissors you could ever get.
So you can take your cube of map and use the top of a sock to hold them together.
Doesn't look phallic at all, Rob. Doesn't look phallic at all.
If you think it looks phallic, that's on you. I can't stop you.
I've got map envy, man. I got map envy. Oh God.
No, but I like your guys' opinion on stuff. I'm seriously, let's go around the horn. What is the I mean, at this point, what is the success and or not success of WotC moving digital, which they appear to be doing? Is this just something we're just not going to
the
care about in
organization
a year?
The PHP book, everybody should take a look at it because I think they did a good job with the organization.
Well, I don't think the books, but I don't think anybody said the book itself is bad. It's not it seems like it's. I've been seeing a difference of opinion, man. I don't play 5e, so I don't know. I've been seeing a difference of opinion about whether or not it's an entirely new game or if it's just tweaks. And I've seen both opinions. So, Rob, what do you say? Is it tweaks or is it a brand new game?
It's Jeremy Crawford's House Wolves.
Yeah, but I think regardless, the point is it's
moving
it. They're moving it to kind of an always online digital thing. Like we said, I put up a poll on my Twitter that said, do you want to play in an RPG where all content is posted on a private wiki available to any device you have via an account login? Content is regularly updated by the publisher to adjust for game balance. It's monetized via subscription and skins and other aesthetics. And 2.6% of people said yes. Now, that was a self-selecting sample.
Eric, I just posted a link where somebody did a change log of the difference between 2024 and 2014. So if somebody wants to read down, the only thing they didn't get into a lot was the spells themselves because there were just too many to go through. But they go through the classes, the action, and it's the same game. Stuff has been tweaked. I wouldn't even say it's a different. It is with 3.5. They altered some of the actions, how combat worked.
Right.
They didn't really do that with this. They just changed some of the wording to clarify things and tighten up a few problematic areas like grappling. Left some alone, which like mounted combat, which never really worked. But
Rob, somebody compared it to 1E versus 2E. Would you agree with that? It's where 2E just kind of said, we're going to make it a little easier. We're going to explain spells a little more. We're going to take out some stuff that doesn't really make sense. And we're going to make it just a bit easier.
But see, Mike, the issue is it going to be worth more than just 1 year's worth of value? Because if they're moving everything to digital and then they make a 2025 version, it's just, why would you pay for a written copy of something that they're going to be editing systematically on digital?
You and I wouldn't pay for that, but this game is not for us anymore. Nobody on this screen, this game is not for anybody on the screen anymore. As screen anymore. And so we wouldn't do that, but that's what their audience is. Look,
what will happen, Greg, is everybody's excited about 2024. So everybody who's interested, and I'm going to get a copy, it's going to get a copy of it. But the moment
you're going to pay for that copy, Rob? Or are you going to get another kind of copy? You know what I mean?
I have it on order at my local game store.
Oh, God.
And but the moment they change, the moment they do what you're just saying, that's when the shit's going to hit the fan. The moment the D&D Beyond Compendium changes from what's been printed, and that's the official version everybody has to use, that's when the shit will hit the fan.
It's going to be instantaneous for Rob. As soon as the first edition is out, within a month, you're going to get the change log. It's just going to be like EverQuest or World of Warcraft or whatever, and it's going to change. And every month that goes by, it's going to be more and more changes.
I was going to make the World of Warcraft comparison.
See, Mike, I would make the same argument for Acts 2, which I love and I am interested in. If McCreese said, I'm going to start making a new version every year and making people pay in again, I'd be like, this is dumb. I'm out. I don't care how good the game is. I'm not going to buy it in that model. It's just
but there are a generation of people below us that, like the people, I have friends that are totally into World of Warcraft. That's a continual investment year after year. Look at something as basic as a BattleTech or Mech Warriors are just something you have to buy new miniatures for every year. I mean, it's just it's that's just not our mindset, but that's certainly people's mindset. There's people that do that they will.
World of Warcraft is a good example because it's no longer the hot shit. It's still making a lot of money.
Yeah,
there's still a lot of players playing it, but it's no longer the hot shit because all the casual players are tired of the bullshit when they log on. Oh, you know what? I'm going to fire up my World of Warcraft and re-up my prescription, and then they get on and have to rebuild their entire character because it's not only just one. They gone through one change, they missed the 3 or 4 changes. And I know I've done that. I fired up my World of Warcraft thinking I would play. No, I got to repick. What does this mean? Oh God! And it's just like it's like horse shit. So
unless you're keeping up with it, unless you're keeping up with it, you're left behind. At a certain point, you're left so far behind that you have to make an investment, and you have to decide, is that investment worth my time and money? And I understand, but those, like you said, those things still make a lot of money. They're just having smaller and smaller audiences they cater to. And is that what D&D is heading to?
I wondered about that.
Smaller and smaller audiences.
If you think about it, I don't forget who I was talking to. I think my brother about this recently. Or maybe it was you, Tim, on the show. If you look at games like World of Warcraft and EverQuest and all those MMOs, the dwindling audience, I think, is related to attention span deficit, which all comes down to Instagram and TikTok and bullshit, right? I think the people they don't have the attention span to just plug away at a game for 8 hours a fucking day like we used to do. They'll play like what is that on Fortnite, where you drop into a zone, you shoot everybody up for 5 minutes, and then the zone ends. You drop into a zone again, lather, rinse, repeat. They're not doing the games that we did where we spent the whole fucking weekend, filled with pizza and Coca-Cola and just fucking dive into the thing. You know what I mean? It's like I think it's a generational difference, really.
You're missing the point about specifically that's related to World of Warcraft, Lord of the Rings Online, and those games. There's a social component. So yes, you can play them like Fortnite for the quest, for the leveling, but what keeps them at a steady state as far as audience go is the social.
The guilds. The guilds are everything.
Those are also video games that are very easy it's very easy for you to just click update and wait, and then you might have to make some changes to your character. You're not having to compare whether, the rule in his book says that it's a +2 bonus, but the rule in his book says +2. These are print product versus online all kinds of yes, there's a social component, but the people with the money to burn on this shit is our generation.
Yes,
Greg, I'm not making
20-year-olds. Yeah,
I'm agreeing you that the moment all we're disagreeing is when it's going to happen. It's going to happen when the first substantial update hits the digital world, and the print books remain the same, and people notice the difference. That's when the shit's going to hit the fan.
Well,
Right now, it's
and then when they go to their first convention, and the first convention they go to, somebody tells them that character is illegal now. Did you not read the notes online?
Right.
They're like, no, I'm using a book. Well, the book's
Here-
it's not current anymore. You can't. You got to change this, this, and this. That's what they're going to say. Well, fuck this.
My guess is the divergence. Can we call it that? The divergence is going to happen about a year after the VTT goes live.
Which is going to happen when?
Well,
a year after the books go live? You know?
Well, no, the beta is supposedly this fall. We'll see.
Yeah.
But when it goes live and they start finding rules in the core books that don't translate well to the VTT, because I suspect they've been writing this with the idea of one eye on the physical tabletop and one eye on the digital tabletop. And once the digital tabletop is raking in money, all they're going to say is, fuck the traditional tabletop. They can stay with whatever rules they have. We got to tweak these so the game runs quicker, the game runs faster. This is what our players want. The ones that are playing the game as a lifestyle online, the ones that are paying a subscription, we got to keep them coming back for their purple cloaks and their flaming swords. That, by the way, has no.
They're rainbow swords, Eric.
Well,
rainbow swords.
It's just a tchotchke. It has no effect in game.
Yeah.
Because people bought stuff like that for EverQuest and WoW, right?
Yeah.
It's just a little social thing. Makes me look cool, and they are going to get so high on that as a company that the tabletop gamers are going to walk away. I'm not saying they're going to walk away from 5e. They may keep the rules, but they're going to walk away from WotC as anything further, because they're not going to be catered to. They're not even going to be looked at as anything worthwhile.
That's okay, though.
Bad Mac, you asked whether they made any changes for the VTT in the current rule set. I know something I can definitely. I'm pretty certain it's because they're going to make a VTT out of it. Multi-classing and feat are no longer optional rules.
Well, you know what? That's it. I didn't like that at all when I heard that. Here's something I haven't heard anybody talk about yet. Is Wizards of the Coast has this in-person game, whatever you want to call it, group, right? It's like an official character with D&D Beyond, and you bring that character to game stores and you play in an officially sanctioned game, right?
It's like the old RPGA.
Exactly. I forget what it's called now. Rob, I think knows what it is.
Adventurers League.
Adventurers League. That's what it is. So they have Adventurers League, right? So when is the disparity going to happen when somebody wants to bring their VTT character sheet to an Adventurers League game, and Adventurers League only uses the books, and Adventurers League they're not legal. They're not good, right?
I think you kind of maybe overestimating the number of people that's going to affect. That's not going to be that.
Is there going to be that much of an overlap?
That many people doing that.
Well, Don is. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brad.
I'm going to say the Adventurers League thing, though, is that you can't, unless you're playing Adventurers League games on the VTT, it can't carry over to the store games.
But what if you want to just carry a character over, Eric? What if you just say, "Hey, I'll bring my first level guy here"?
You have to have two characters. You have to have another character.
And then all right. So then, what if you want to roll up a guy just like your guy on your VTT, but you're told that this thing doesn't exist and that thing doesn't exist and blah blah blah?
It doesn't exist, man. You got Adventurers League is its own little game.
That's bound to happen. That's of course.
That's the problem, right? You're gonna have these whiners like, "Wow, I can't use this feat or that special ability. This is D&D, right? I play this online. Why can't I play it in person?"
Joe, that's the way it's been with the Adventurers League forever. There are
the Adventurers League has been like that. They change it every year.
Seriously?
Every year they change something.
Jesus.
Okay. So Don was talking about, profitability for Hasbro, and the thing is, and this is why it's hard for me to care about what Wizards and Hasbro does, because I know what the ulterior motive and what it's going to be at the end of the day. They are under the legal obligation to make sure every dollar they spend has the maximum number of return. And if they think it's going to be digital, then it's going to all go digital eventually because they're legally obligated in their mind to do that. So they don't have the interest of the hobby at heart.
It's going to fail miserably, and I can't fucking wait.
But that's okay because everybody here, Rob and Tim and not as much Joe, but you know, Greg. I mean, it's only good, right? I mean, I know there's a Starbucks effect, but still, if more people decide that they don't want to deal with the bullshit and decide I'm gonna pick up Shadow Rim or I'm gonna pick up Rob's newest game or Tim's newest game, doesn't that help? I mean,
yeah,
it can't hurt, can it? I mean, like I said, there is a Starbucks effect.
It's good. I also think, and I said this recently, but there's Rob hates it when I use this phrasing here, so sorry, Rob. But there's the classic phrase that everybody's heard of, that you're a liberal until you get mugged, and then you're a conservative, right?
Yeah,
This kind of
give me the gun.
These young people are going along having a happy, wonderful time.
Yeah.
And this is the first mugging from Watsy. Watsy's going to come up and grab them by the throat, and they're going to go, whoa, whoa.
Yeah,
Our job should be to catch those people as they leave the alley and go, hey, would you like to not get mugged over here? That's what we need. That's what we need to do. And I think
analogy, dude.
That's why I really think Shadow Dark, as much as I love Adventure Conquer.
Well, like a typical conservative, you present the negative. I like to go with the positive.
I'm not even a conservative.
I like to go with the positive here and say, hey, look, you have the creative freedom to march to your own drummer to make the game you want to make or support the people who actually make the game you want to play. Support these guys.
And Rob makes a good point.
What I was going to say is, as much as I love Adventure Conquer King, the second one is incredible. It's not for 5e players walking off the reservation. And that's why I think Shadow Dark is the thing to lean into from my perspective as a creative person, because that's where the people who if you want someone to play old school games, like that's your place to get. You can go play OSC by yourself,
like Matt Jackson does,
guys or whatever. But you got to be where the action is. To get people even peeled off, headed in the direction you want them to ultimately.
Greg, I hate to say
Greg,
this,
did you know that half of OS? I'll go real quick, Rob. I'll make a point. I just want to say that if you go to the OSC discords or boards, half the people at OSC are 5e players that have left 5e. Sometimes they are looking for something that's not 5e because they tried 5e and I didn't really like 5e. I've heard about this other game where you can die really easy and this happens and you're this and this. And so seriously, if you go to the boards, you see the old school BX guys who love OSC because it's old school BX, and you see the 5e guys. And sometimes they get into big arguments on the Discord because they come from two totally different mindsets.
What's their arguments? What's the 5e guys
the 5e guys want to turn OSC into more 5e, and the old school guys are like, no, it's BX. It's like BX. Rob's raising his hand. And it's
I
like
can
BX.
play
No,
it because I'm
BX.
playing with two groups of 5e players, and I know what they want. They want options. They want more options than Shadow Dark, or as good as Shadow Dark is, as good as OSC as a version of BX is. It doesn't have the options they are used to. Now, to be clear, they don't want to. There's a large segment who do not want to go the Pathfinder route with even more options.
Yeah.
No, but they want more options than what Shadow Dark or BX, and that's why I'm running 2 5e campaigns at the moment, because I tried to sell them on my Majestic Fantasy stuff, but they just want the option. So I said, fine, we're going to do 5e, but we're going to do 5e my way, and I have a version of 5e that I wrote up that I can tolerate, and so we're using that, but still they want the option. So what I predict is like a large segment is going to go for Shadow Dark. A large segment is going to be OSE, and then there's going to be a segment that goes to Talion, to the Valiant, End World, Level Up. But I think
Does it level up that EN World
really,
bullshit game?
to complete their training to the dark side, we really need something that can work with the OSR material like adventures and setting, but has some of the complexity of 5e, but less so than Level Up and Talion the Valiant. You know, something that sits in the middle.
Tim, are you trying to throw something up here? It looks like
Mm-hmm.
you got Here we go.
Sorry.
Fuck Wizards, back somebody like.
Oh yeah, nice.
That's what we should be talking about.
By the way,
talking
Talking Crit next week, Eric. Talking Crit.
I haven't confirmed it yet, but I had reached out to Dirk.
Okay.
What is it? Great, Tim. What is it? I've never heard of this.
Oh,
yeah, it's a fantastic. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's easy, and Dirk is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Okay.
This is the second edition. He put out the first edition 10 years ago, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, Eric, I think you ran us through a couple games of it back in the day and everything.
Yeah. Listen, it runs like an OSR game.
Yep.
It's just a very simple rule set. The setting is awesome.
Yep.
There's a quick start available for free on drive-through if you want to download it.
I have some of the original booklets too for this one, because he was giving them away, and I had some of the original ones.
And his original adventures, were always free, and I've run them with Swords and Wizardry. But he has his own vision, and he does his own art. And the art that you're seeing here is
that's cool.
Just a hint of his.
It's cartoony, but it's fun. It's like this very whimsical.
I'm dropping a link in the chat, guys.
Okay, yeah, because and these, I know Wizards is the big topic and it's the big bear and Dungeons and Dragons, but I think we need to give these guys, folks like these who are doing these kind of Kickstarters, we have to give them their nod, put them out in front before, besides talking to those fuckheads on the coast.
And
fuckheads
on the coast.
Yeah, because us talking about them doesn't do any good. We're just a bunch of we're white noise. Nothing's going to change. They're going to just do their same bullshit, whatever they're going to do. But when we talk about these guys, we can actually do something. We can promote them. We can get eyes on these products that we all enjoy, or people that we really respect and really like their work. And so that's what I'm about. It doesn't make any fucking difference what we say about Wizards. How many companies can actually threaten their customers with violence and can just continue on?
Yeah. And taking their shit with Pinkertons, for fuck's sake.
Exactly. And then threatening you with financial violence by having, so no matter what they do, they're just going to continue on, and they're like, oh, everything's fine. We're going to sell, however millions of books or whatever, and people are going to complain or they're going to like it, whatever. That's not my concern, because it's really not in my realm. I'm not going to buy it. But I'm not going to really talk about it either. But if I get a chance, I'm going to, while you guys are yapping about that, I want to get Dirk sometime, in the camera, and get him some notice. I'd love to see his game be as successful as it possibly can be.
I'm going to back it.
And folks like it. Yeah.
I agree, Tim. I like debating this stuff, but I fundamentally agree. We need to talk about the people who are making a difference in the OSR. Now, we did it with Kelsey and Shadow Dark when that was when her Kickstarter's up, but we got to continue to do that and focus on that more than whatever the hell bullshit comes out of it.
We did live plays with it, and that was kind of a blast. We did that. That was a lot of fun. Because we couldn't figure out, we were trying to figure out the game, so it made it pretty humorous. But yeah,
how many GMs does it take to figure out a very simple game that we should all know? Well, we all bring our own baggage into GMing,
as well as age and brain damage from too much of You know.
Anyway,
so-
because you said so, Tim, I backed it for 35. I'm seems like good enough.
There's also some guy. I dropped the link in the private chat, Eric. Some guys at another podcast, Blacklock Games.
I just did a blog post on that today.
Yeah, it's really promising.
Oysters and brothels. What is this? What?
Yeah, this
what?
is. I was to say, this is Joe's Kickstarter here.
It is your Kickstarter, Joe.
It's
God damn, Joe, you need to pay attention more.
Yeah, it's a brothel that serves as kind of like an add-on to any setting that you want, and it has like
story hooks, NPCs.
Yeah, kind of like eventually the tavern or the brothel burns down, and then you can have it reappear somewhere. Like it's like an interdimensional entity that can move around wherever you need it to be.
It's a quantum brothel, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can have it wherever you want.
So like,
all right.
So like as you interact with the brothel, you're getting like cumulative bonuses on tables that add up. So like depending on what you've done over the when it burns down, all sorts of different consequences can happen. If you go to the brothel, I think they said, and you have a critical fail, then you're turned to stone by one of the Medusa prostitutes. Yeah, like so all kinds of just great Joe the lawyer type stuff.
Yeah, no, this is kind of fantastic actually. I'm always
because they kind of riff. This is sort of a riff off of
there it is. There it is. There.
The carousing tables, isn't it, Greg? Kind of.
Yes.
Take it to the extreme.
Yeah, they use the carousing table mechanics, I believe, to create like kind of like iterative loops.
I kind of like that art there. That's kind of I like that. I like black and white art.
I think that's Dean Spencer.
Most of the art's Dean Spencer. Yeah.
Oh, boobs and butts. Look at fish. All right.
Joe's
and who is this dude? Okay,
that's one of the oyster. Yeah, he is kind of creepy. Yeah, he does.
He's pretty creepy. Yes.
Oh, wait,
these
look,
guys though.
With another guy.
Random party generator, right there, the thumbnail.
It's very intense. Very intense guy.
There we are.
Yeah. So one of the things I did want to highlight about these guys. Maybe I'm wrong that this is the first time I've ever seen somebody on their launch day. They did like a 4-hour live cast, and they had music that they had preloaded to make sure YouTube wouldn't kick it, and they like tested it out. So they had like 4 hours of like techno music. They're like techno guys. Yeah, wow. They had like people came in and talked to them and blah blah blah. Like it was really engaging from a marketing perspective. Like they really drummed up people's interest in their stuff, and they approached a lot of this stuff from a unique angle. So I think it's been really good to see that like that's what we need to do from an independent perspective. We need to be innovating in ways of connecting to people. And I never would have thought I'm going to launch a Kickstarter. I'm going to have a 4-hour techno party. Like that would never occur to me. But like they totally nailed it. So.
Well, you had me at 20 lovable and surly prostitutes who endlessly harangue your players in town. That's nice. Yes. All right, there we go.
There's also
the creepy guy again. Here we go.
I thought this was an interesting thing. So there's a male character in there who's like so jaded that when women come up to him, female characters approach him, he's disinterested and unengaged, and like there's like a whole quest to try to get him interested in you or something like that. Like I can't remember exactly what the story was. Yeah, like so like he's got all these secrets that he knows and all this stuff, but he's totally jaded and won't interact with people or something like that. So
look at the comments. Look at I don't care what they're saying. Lord Mateus, author, game designer, YouTuber, and avid bourbon drinker. Evan, Texas real estate tycoon, only played RPGs for 8 months. Spencer Wright, grognard and friend of Gary. Friend FOG. It's a fog. Jesus Christ, this is funny, man. I like their style. I like their style. Oh, we have a video that's age restricted.
Yeah,
you got to see this. You got to see this. We're going in. We're going in, boys and girls. Where are we going? Watch on YouTube. Where is it? There we go. Age restricted. Oh, hot chick.
Hey guys, good to be here.
Harmony Ginger.
I am
Whoever the hell that is.
hurricane, so
Why is his hand? Why is this guy's hands? Oh, there always has a beer. Okay, I was wondering if he's doing.
That's what
You know,
they
that's-
do. They sit on the
Yeah,
couch. and
yeah.
That's what they do. I like when I listen to them. I can't watch them because they just, I don't know, they're irritating to watch. But they're interesting to listen to. Absolutely. Yeah.
Shucked
They have
oyster.
a lot of Joe. They have a whole episode on how Vampire the Masquerade should be played like a mafia game, and like The Sopranos.
Yeah, I like that.
Stuff like that. So I think you'd be interested.
You mean people had to be told that? I mean, I thought that was one of the default modes of playing it, other than monsters and superheroes.
Well,
it came out before The
as
Sopranos.
educated as you, Rob.
Plus, it came out before The Sopranos, Rob. Don't forget, Vampire the Masquerade was the early 90s.
Well,
you know?
it would have been more, let's play it like Godfather rather than The Sopranos. But still, the mob.
So it looks like the $34 is the basic print and digital for this thing.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's reasonable. Very reasonable. Yeah. Mega bundle, 4 copies. I don't need 4 fucking copies. Yeah. Yeah. No, it looks like the $34. I mean, yeah, that's a good deal, man. That's a good deal. I'm in. Me a whorehouse any day. I'll get that. I'm buying it right now. I can't buy the cartoon thing, but I get what you're saying, Tim, about that guy's thing there, you know?
Which guy's thing?
The other guy with the cartoony art and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's just my philosophy on things. Wizards of the Coast, of course, you have to talk about them because as they go, the general perception of gaming goes, and that. But on our level, I just think we need to spend just as much time talking about folks like them and everybody, just to try to give them as much different time or different, try to prop them up or give them even if it's just one other person, one other person in their Kickstarter to notice them or whatever, it all accumulates.
That's why you did the zine this thing on Facebook. I mean, get the broad.
Yeah, I mean that's why I originally did it, and then it eventually kind of evolved into something that wasn't what I intended it to be, but it was still a good thing.
Really?
That's what. Yeah.
What happened? What do you mean?
It just became such a very. I come from and I don't even want to say an old school version of a zine because it's not, because the old school versions of the zines are the old mimeograph machines and putting it together with paper clips or whatever. But from gaming, printing it at home, anything from 12 to 38 pages in a zine, very personal, written by one person. Artwork's kind of
shitty or stolen.
You got some stock art, maybe some stuff you did yourself, and then you put out a few copies of it or whatever, and then you moved on to the next one. Now everything's so professionally made. It's very polished. It's very stylized. It's people are selling 300-page zines with hardbacks, and to me that's not a zine anymore. But you really can't define a zine, because if you define a zine, then that's taking away from the zine philosophy in a way too.
You look at Knock. I mean, Knock. Right. You were talking about that the other day.
It's not a zine.
It's not a zine.
No, it's an anthology.
It's a high-end magazine.
It is. It's a very good one, but is it a zine? No, I don't.
No.
In my personal definition of it, it's not. But would I promote it? Hell yeah. I mean, it became one of the most popular zines in the zine group.
Yeah.
Because one of
all three.
One of my questions before you joined the zine group was, are you a zine maker, and what's your favorite zine? And when people would answer, what's your favorite zine? In the beginning, it was Ben Lawrence's Through Altan's Door, and then when Knock came out, then it was Knock. That was the main answer for that one. There was a guy named Tony in our group, and he was definitely vibed more with the current philosophy and had a lot more energy, had a lot more enthusiasm, because it deserved to be better served than what I could do. So I gave the group to Tony so he could do it. So now it's I don't know how many people they had. I think when I left it, we had short of 5,000.
Yeah.
Something like that, people in it. So
when you left, I left him because I was there just for helping you for that.
No, you did. You helped out. Yeah, we had those invasion of sex bots or whatever.
Yeah, it was weird. I was just going in there every day or so just to delete assholes. You know what I mean?
So
Basically.
Tim, you're talking about this.
That's that I would say that, and what was Jim Radji's the Green Faced Devil? Those two I consider like the original.
Or this
starting
obscure
of
author
OSR.
right here.
The Manor.
That's my first one, but the Loviatar, and Green Faced Devil to me are like the two beginning OSR zines. Those are the ones that started all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of rode on the coattails of Christian and everything like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I wish he was still around.
What is that? Wait a minute, let me zoom in.
Christian Walker?
No, that's not Christian Walker. That's another guy.
Menagerie of the Ice Lord. I don't have that one.
Yeah, it's Dylan Hartwell. He used to be digital on the blog side, and he made all these, and he did all the artwork. And he
what do we got? Show it, Rob.
He just was this guy who produced these zines. He did a fantastic job. I loved all this. He actually redid the artwork for my Knowledge Illuminate zine when I re-released it. I had him do all the artwork for it, and but then he just kind of disappeared. He just went, he just stopped making stuff. And he never really, and unfortunately, stuff really never caught on to like big. And Rob and I think he was at one of the conventions we were at, and he ran us through one of his dungeons and stuff like that. But yeah, he was like,
it looks like what is that? Jesus, Troll Lord Games level dungeon design going on in there, though. From the older Troll Lord stuff, it was just like the most shit. What the hell? You couldn't get a real person to draw this thing? Art for their dungeon design, Well,
he has a style. I wouldn't say it's shit art. It's just this very style.
For Troll Lords, it would be shit, though, because they're a big company. They need that something better than what they had in those early books,
Yeah, but
look at this, Joe.
With some of these tools now, you can make really good stuff with free, very, very cheap stuff.
Look at Incarnate. Tim started using Incarnate recently. That's amazing.
Well, but I will always take a hand-drawn map over a computer map. I mean, yeah.
You haven't seen my hand-drawn maps, have you?
I have seen them.
And you can still say that, huh?
No, he's going to correct himself now.
Yeah, exactly. It's pure shit.
That proves the rules, Joe.
I'm waiting on the proof for this, but I submitted this map pack that I made for Shadowrun, and I want, because it's 12 by 18 prints from drive-through. So if you just print one, we've talked about it before, me and Rob, it's not cost effective, right? But I made these maps using a program on Steam that costs, I think $15-20, something really cheap. And this is one. So this is like that shipwreck that everybody who's played Skyrim knows about exploring, and this is Shadowrun's base, Skyrim thing. There's stuff like this. And then I have, some other maps that are built, but night, day in the same. It's called Canvas of Kings. It has limited functionality because the guy basically made a video game using it, and then he just started releasing the map tool because he was using it to make it stuff for his video game.
I wonder if those assets are PNGs.
Yeah, and
I would buy it just for the PNGs.
Yeah, it's a great program. And then I got Canvas of Kings.
I'm gonna link it into the chat.
Yeah, Greg, are you trying to say it's better than this? Come on now. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, it's way better than that. So like this map here is stuff from Canvas of Kings here in the center, but then these are cut out of the What About generators and put in here and just faded, right? So you could do stuff with very little money nowadays. So it's not like when I see something that is, I don't want to say hand drawn because it could be really good hand drawn, but like when I see something that is substandard, I'm like, look, I could in 1995. Hey, you're doing the best you can, But now the tools are there for some really incredible stuff for very, very cheap. I mean, I made this that I shared it in our chat with just this guy's phone, but this was a cover I made in about an hour, and it's all assets that I already had.
There you go.
If it's the stock art elements of this, maybe total $6 that I've spent, but I spent them like 5 years ago. There was stuff that I had I got a pack with like 10 different circles, and so I'm just using this one circle. Stuff like that you can put together in a way that's looks really good, but it's cheap. There's tons of public domain stuff you can get on Wikimedia Commons. You can search by copyright status, so you can just put it on public domain and pull up every public domain image. Wow. I made a Twitter post the other day because I was looking for stuff about the Mongols, and some 22-year-old dude was exploring Mongolia in like some beat up van, and he uploaded like 500 pictures of himself to Flickr, and it was tagged to automatically go into Wikimedia Commons. So you're looking at like pictures of Genghis Khan, real Mongol people with like falcons or doing horse archery, whatever, and then this crazy drunk white dude in a van. It's a search for Mongols, so that's there's some drawbacks, but you can find some incredible stuff.
Yeah.
And if you know how to use Photoshop, applying a few filters to make it look like black and white D&D art is not really that hard.
It's amazing how many people, because when I do a video, it's just my voice, and I just have like a slideshow of a couple hundred black and white old school D&D pictures, like on a circulation, because it's more of a podcast than a YouTube show. I don't show myself, right? So, but it's amazing how many people just love the art. The old black and white basic shit art that I just show is like, oh, this is great. Remember that? This is this one, and it's from that book, or whatever. Trying to figure it out. You don't need fantastic art to get a fucking response. You just need something that's good. Just good enough art. That's really it. If you got something fantastic, that's another story. But good enough will get you there.
Yeah, there was that one book that just got released. It got a lot of what was it? Was it the Wilderness Hex book, or where you build hexes out? And it was just a small book. Artwork was just simple hand drawn, but it got very popular. I don't know if it's in a Damonite seller, but it's up there, like Mithril seller or something like that. As long as you have good content with it, your artwork can sell it or it can suffer. But this thing was so simplified that it actually helped. If it had the fancy pictures in it, it wouldn't have fit.
Yep. I'm sharing right now, Eric. This is a public domain image of a mangonel. And all I did was kind of create a second layer because it was a little bit thin, and make more shadow, more darkness in the picture, so it would match more into the visual style of the rest of the book. But that's the kind of thing, like you can find tons of this stuff. I have to throw out some things because maybe it depicts the Mongol in a little bit too insensitive of a way for today's audience or whatever. But it's not like it's not a huge hindrance. There's tons of stuff you can do.
Sure.
It depicts a what? Mongol?
Yeah, like anything of an Asian or an Arabic person or an African person that comes from a public domain book before 1910. Is gonna probably
Amos and Andy level. Amos and Andy kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're few and far between, but accurate depictions are there if you hunt long enough.
But like I found a book that was about the flora and fauna of Tibet, and it was written in like 1915 or whatever, and I had tons of landscape art that was just great. I was like, awesome, download all this crap. That's the kind of thing you just got to spend time looking for it. Mike,
You know, it's interesting.
You're
If you
twitching
think
a lot.
about that,
Are you driving? Am I driving you crazy?
how many people are bitching about AI art? And that one guy, I think, said there's no AI art in this entire, Kickstarter, blah blah blah. And people bitch about the losing jobs and this and that. But when you go for like you have access to every book ever made online somewhere in a PDF, and a lot of that shit's copyright free. You could just steal whatever you want from it. It kind of not that it weakens the case.
You're not stealing, Joe.
You're using it. You're
Using
taking
it.
somebody else's shit. So so basically it weakens the AI warriors' cases against. No, don't use AI. We need to draw it for you. Well, you don't really need to draw anything for us because we go back to pre-19 whatever the fuck and get everything for free
but
anyway.
The guy in 1910 is not really.
He's not suffering
in any position to argue he still deserves to get paid for that art.
Yeah.
But the guy who made the art yesterday would probably be really pissed if the AI just stole it.
Right, especially if the AI art was using his art to build its database to therefore do work like him. So now, if you had an AI art program that was only built off of art that is in the public domain, that is, basically free access, then your argument to get against AI art would be, it's
I would have no problem with that. Yeah,
right. Yeah. But when AI art is scraping art, it's information from current artists like Errol Otis, like Caldwell, like Elmore, because you can go and you can type, I want this type of scene, yada yada, in an Errol Otis and it'll come damn close.
Yeah,
because it has Errol Otis artwork in its database. So there's where I certainly have moral quandary issues.
Well, then I think it was a month or two ago. I believe Dyson posted the AI has scraped his map so much that now when he posts a map, it's identifying as an AI map.
Jesus, seriously? Dyson said that? That's fucking hilarious and sad all at the same time.
Yeah.
Matt Jackson would have that problem if he did more.
I'm waiting for Joe to publish Blood Island so I can rewrite it and claim that it was my original creation.
The standard should be the same if you have an art student replicating Errol Otis. If an art student replicated Errol Otis and tried to sell that piece, he would have got busted for copyright violation. Then an AI tool that produces a similar piece of art to Errol Otis should be, the user distributing that piece should get busted as well. But the thing is, the AI tool is, while capable of doing that, is capable of making AI art that isn't quite like Errol Otis. It may echo it, but it's like a person who followed, like a person who follows the where they make their art pieces out of points, the pointillism, or no, but there's art styles and people copy the art style, but they don't copy a specific artist. It's a tough thing. And it's all new.
I mean, every art student ever learned how to draw something by copying somebody, right? That's how you learn how to do stuff. So the AI is doing that in the same way. It's just that it's putting people out of fucking business.
Andy Warhol getting busted because he doesn't. Some of his pieces are not particularly original because he reuses somebody else's piece of art or somebody else's photograph when he shouldn't be. So
the Campbell soup thing, you mean?
Actually, I would think it's something to do with Prince, a photo of Prince.
Prince? I don't remember that thing. I remember the Campbell soup. It was like, what the fuck is this? Is this art? Yeah.
And it's just, I think the problem is, Joe, that it can replicate the human endeavor so quickly that it destroys the reason for the person doing the effort in the first place. So let's say that I know this is again, very hypothetical situation. You publish something.
Yeah, okay? There we go.
All right. So you publish something and you say, this is my Blood Island, and then 10 minutes later, an AI posts a book to Drive Through RPG, says, "This is my slightly bloody island."
Yeah.
Right. And
the blood plus island.
Exact same thing. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you say, well, it's different. See, Joe, he had 3d6 troglodytes living in this cave, but I have 2d6 lizardmen. It's totally different, right? But it's just copying everything and just changing everything up. Every time you do something, it does this to you, right? Eventually, you're going to stop doing like why would you compete with that? So if we get to a situation where artists are rewarded for inventing new styles, new approaches, by having that approach wiped out and they can't make money off of it, then the same thing with music, the same thing with like if you can't make money in it, you're not gonna do it. You're going to go to a different venue.
It's going to be for the joy of creation, Greg. It's not
what about this example? I have a friend that she's an architect and she's recently getting bored with architecture, and she's made a ton of money. So she started doing artwork. She started doing watercolor and other things. And we were talking about D&D, and she goes, I think I'd like to learn cartography. Is there anybody you can show me? I said, yeah, there's this guy Dyson. He's pretty popular. So I went online. I showed her a few Dyson things. The next time I saw her, she had replicated his style exactly. I mean, she didn't do exactly the same maps he did. But here's what he did. He just did cross-hatching this and that. I was like, that's better than Dyson's. It was.
That's how Matt made his career. That's Matt Jackson right there in a nutshell.
If she could make 10,000 Dyson maps a minute, then that would be a problem.
Yeah.
Right. But she can't make 10,000 Dyson maps.
It's fine. So by hand, it's fine. If you get a commercial, if you just push a button and it just starts popping out, then that's not.
It's operating
the problem you got to guard against is if you're going to combat our AI on these grounds, you got to make sure whatever you do, it's not going to impact the friend of Bad Mike, who's learning cartography off of how Dysons do it. Because if you don't write your law or regulation right, it's gonna get her. It's gonna put a hammer on her as well as the AI. And I don't think we.
Right. Because there's other people that do Dyson, I guess you'd call it Dyson style. But I mean, that's not a trademark.
Matt Jackson. I'm sorry.
It's not a trademark. I mean, you're just cross-hatching in the stuff, and you know what I'm saying? It has a look to it, but it's not. Is it any different than saying, like we said, I want to draw like Errol Otis, I want to draw like Holloway, and you know that there's artists that make a career out of drawing like Jack Kirby, and everybody's like, oh, that's really cool. It's like Jack Kirby stuff, you know. So I mean, it's legit. It's legit that you can do that. I mean, there's no reason that says you can't.
Oh, and it's a problem in the music industry because artists are suing other artists or music publisher over 1 second, 3 second long snippets of sounds, or melodies or notes. I'm not musically inclined, so I don't know all the ins and outs, but they're very short pieces that are wind up in some other person's song, and they're on the hook for thousands, if not tens.
But you're able to copy, Rob, up to 3 seconds of a song without any problem. I think it's 3 to 5 seconds. I can't remember. It's when you go over that they get in trouble. But there's a big problem. See, there's always been a problem with music because long ago, George Harrison had to pay a gigantic fine because he had copied "She's So Fine" for one of his songs. And now looking back on it, everybody does that. Nobody says anything about it. We all. I mean, there might only be a finite amount of things we can do with music. At a certain point, you start feeding on yourself. I mean, a band like the Strokes, they came out 20 years ago. I mean, their stuff sounds like late 70s kind of punky. I mean, you can only do things for so long before you start recycling. At that point, you say, okay, well, you can't recycle, that sound anymore. If you sound too much like Elvis, you can't. I don't want you to do any more music. You sound like Elvis. Well, that's my voice. Well, it's too bad. You can't sound like Elvis. I mean, at a certain point, you just have to say, look, nothing's new under the sun, right? I mean, it's just going to happen. You're going to.
But if you're Guns N' Roses and Don Henley of the Eagles, they'll sue the shit out of you.
We're just ahead of the law.
Well, they're
here. That's the
notorious.
whole thing. Is
I picked.
the
I'm
law's going to
picking on
come
those
in
because they're
and
notorious.
crash everything.
But it's
It's
inevitable.
going to happen.
I mean, the law came in the 90s with the internet and all that shit, right? So, and copyright and everything else. But AI art
Napster.
and AI
Remember
writing.
Napster?
Oh, yeah. Then it went to LimeWire and everything else. Yeah. But AI art is inevitable in some way, and AI writing is inevitable in some way, right? It's just a matter of what it does, how we adapt and change to it. Right? What are we going to do? There's always going to be some purists who are going to be called Luddites or some variation of Luddite, right? There's always going to be some, I'm going to only have, copyright free art or people I pay for the art and all this and that. Then there's going to be some guys like, fuck that shit. I could get this shit for free. Type me in with five keystrokes. I'm going to do it that way. And it's going to be an inevitable thing. And it's going to affect the livelihoods of many, many thousands, tens of thousands of artists and writers. So what do we do about it? Right?
Again, I said this before, I'll say it again. Artists are going to continue to make money. The battle, not going to be between AI and artists. It's going to be the battle is going to be between artists who use AI and artists who don't use AI. Because whatever AI can do by itself, and an artist with AI is going to be 10 times better.
But the battle, Rob, the ones who don't use AI, then the battle is going to be between them and the phone company, and them and the electric company, and them and the fucking rent, right? The landlord. I mean, that's the problem. Is that it's going to, if you don't adapt, you will be purged from the system. And won't be able to make a fucking livelihood out of it anymore. That's the big issue.
The real battle will be when Disney and Apple have a disagreement about this and it gets litigated, and then the answer is X.
Right.
That's what it's going to be. It doesn't matter what some individual person does. It's the person with the $20 billion legal fund who litigates this all the way up to the Supreme Court and gets it ruled out
by a bunch of octogenarian motherfuckers who don't understand how to use their goddamn computer or set their VCR times from 12 o'clock.
Yeah, but don't be fooled by that. A lot of those Supreme Court justices that they rely on their staff
clerks.
To really.
Yeah, their clerks do it.
But Joe, who do you think
I don't know what AI is, and so they probably have to have their staff explain. Here's what AI is. Oh, okay, I understand now. But they don't. Yeah, they don't know shit, and they have to.
Do you think the people that made the laws about, fashion copyrights or music copyrights or anything, that they were the hip young people? That's never been the case.
There was a famous story when Microsoft was under an investigation for antitrust for, I think it was a web browser thing. Their web browser was on it, and they were trying to, Internet Explorer, was it right? And so they were trying to say that it was an integral part of the actual program with Microsoft's operating system, and therefore they couldn't take it out. And the judge called all the lawyers to the bench, and he says, "This is the web browser, right? Internet Explorer." And he said, this is it. And he right clicks it and hits delete. He goes, "I just took it out. The rest of my operating system still works." And this is the level of judges we're dealing with, So,
okay, hey, I'm going to call a time out because I think we need a Tim comment here to set us straight about what we should actually be talking about.
What?
You had a good comment about wizards. What about this AI business?
We're overdue for Tim.
I hand draw my maps. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Let me screenshot that. And he was going to use it against us in the next session.
Probably.
You need to blur out 75% of that.
It's just one of those things we're just going to have to learn to live with. Like it's what is it? It's like Thanos. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's something we'll have. It's like any technology, because I remember when like blogs or just the internet in general came in, everybody was complaining about, because people were offering their writing for free, and that writing's not going to be good anymore because everybody's just offering it for free. And now the writers are going to lose their, their ability to make a living, because why do you pay for it if everybody's giving it away? Those who make a living are just doing it better and doing it more consistent. Those who are going to be making money on art are just going to be doing it better and doing it more consistent. It won't, it'll just probably thin the herd for a while, but people are still looking for authenticity out there. They're not looking for that kind of thing. So is it going to hurt probably the lower tier ones? Probably. I mean, there's probably a market out there for it, but it's just, you can bitch about it or you can adapt or die. It's because it's not going away.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like you can't be a science fiction author or a fantasy author and make a living selling short stories to magazines these days.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess not these days. I would say it's been true for like 15 years now.
Yeah, because magazines.
There's been a big sea change in that. Now you have to do what Andy Weir of the Martian fame does.
Right.
Get your name out there, write a really good book, and sell it for yourself for a bit, and then you'll get picked up for publication.
One of the first examples of that, Rob, just to put it there, this was when all the self-publishing was getting real popular and people were bitching about it. There was like a 17-year-old girl, I can't remember what her name was, but this was before Twilight and all that shit. She would put out these little novellas, 99 cents each, put them on Amazon.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, Tim.
Yeah. So she had 100,000 followers, sold 99-cent things. So she, made $100,000, let's say, minus all the cuts and everything like that. Yeah. But this 17-year-old girl figured out how to use the technology, how to figure out to bypass the stuff, and still, probably make $1 million a year, whatever, close to it. So those who, you got to adapt to what's going on.
Look at Hugh Howey, the guy who did the Silo series, the original trilogy. He did that all himself. He didn't want to deal with agents. He didn't want to deal with companies. He wanted marketing. He started publishing it on Amazon. Each chapter was its own download. Yep. He ended up selling the rights to the books for $500,000 to Simon Schuster, but retained all rights. He retains all rights to it.
Wow, that's amazing.
He never had to pay. He never had to pay an agent. Never had to pay anything. And the best part is when they came out with the TV series last year, he made all the money. They had to deal with him. They didn't deal with any agents or whatever because he owned all the rights. So make a TV series of your book. Yeah, you got to come to me, and so you can do it. You just, like you said, it just changes the paradigm. The power shifts. The power has shifted. If you want to publish your own works, now you can. That's what's so great about the OSR, but that's also what's great with turning into writing. As Rob said, what was the magazine that just went under the other day? Was it Astounding or Fantasy and Science Fiction? One of the big science fiction magazines. It hadn't published in a year, and they just officially said, yeah, we're not publishing anymore. If you're a science fiction, fantasy, or horror writer, short story, you need to get out there and start publishing your own stuff on Amazon or Lulu or something. I mean, you got to do your own job.
One of the things that really made a impression on me was I got my first contracts with Goodman Games and for doing the Judges Guild, the 3 Judges Guild module for 3.5, and then for my Points of Light. And then when I sold this, I made 3 times the amount of money I did on the Goodman Games contract, and a couple other people told me what they were making, and I was making 3 times the money. And now with my Kickstarter, now I had some more success than some folks, I admit, but
it was the editing, Rob.
It's just. It's just even when I was, had modest release, it was just a better deal.
But the thing is, Rob, you can still make money off those Goodman Games things because you kept all the rights, remember?
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
You know what's happening? Speaking of this too, what's happening in the sports world now? More and more athletes are getting business degrees. They're representing themselves because they don't want to pay an agent 10% of their salary forever. And they're like, what is he doing? These contracts already exist. I can just take Dak Prescott's contract and port it over to me and just write out his name and put my name there. And I got the same contract he did. And my brother, who has an accounting degree, can figure it out. And they're doing that now. And so it's like everything else. There's a change. It starts slowly. It starts building and building. You may, next 10 years, you may have 50% of these athletes representing themselves.
But
and
you cut out the costs.
And say, wait, we need a law that only agents can represent athletes because we're becoming a dying breed and losing.
Well,
money.
I think they still have lawyers just for the check over the language.
But if you have a brother,
but it's not like an agent.
But if you have an agent, so there's an athlete now, and I can't remember, he's a football player. He got a business degree. His brother's a lawyer. He doesn't need an agent. He just he keeps it in the family. They negotiate all their own contracts himself. He doesn't believe in holding out because he said that's just a money loser. He doesn't, and he says, look, you know what your value is. If you're this, you know what your value is. I mean, it's look, you're not as good as this guy, but you're better than this guy. So you can slot yourself. You don't need an agent to tell you where it is. You go to the people, you say, this is how much I'm worth. Here's my brother. He's a lawyer. Let's just hatch out a contract right now. He's done all his own deals. He said he's saved millions of dollars over the years.
Well, when you look at it, technology, it changes in different ways, right? Because starting way the fuck back from 2.5 hours ago, when I was talking about the Chris Robinson and the Black Crowes, he was talking about, I think with Bill Maher, about how there are no bands anymore that are like guitar bands, the traditional, the bass, the guitar, the singer, the drummer. They don't exist. And he threw out something that I did not understand why. I just figured it was just, people didn't want to spend the time learning how to play those instruments. He goes, no. Basically, his point of view was that it's so expensive to mic all the instruments up in the studio. So what they'd rather do is fuck the guitar, fuck the bass, do electronic, do some kind of, sound machine music or whatever, and get the artist out there singing or whatever. Nobody's in these traditional 4-piece or 5-piece bands anymore because it's too expensive for the record labels to actually produce those fucking records. And so when you're talking about technology now in a different way, before you couldn't self-publish because it costs too goddamn much money. Now using technology to make the publishing industry your bitch, basically. You know what I mean?
Wilco did that. Wilco releases all their own music now. They after they lost their last contract 10 years ago, they said, what are they doing that we can't do? And they started going straight online. Now they're making millions of dollars in their own pocket. They're not paying a record label. They're not paying an agent. They're not paying a company. They're coming out with their own stuff because they can, because the technology exists. Like you said, they can do all their own stuff and say, look, here's a finished album. We're going to release it on, I don't know, Instagram, whatever kids use nowadays. Fuck, I don't know. And you pay for it. And then,
MySpace, Mike, they're on MySpace.
And look what on the high end.
There's no middleman. You do it yourself. You go straight to the audience and say, here's where our stuff is published. That they keep their own lists. And Wilco's doing great, man. They're making tons and tons of money hand over fist without using any record.
And on the high end, Taylor Swift realized she has the technology and the resources to produce a record every bit as good. So when somebody she didn't like bought her all her whole master, she said, fuck you, and re-recorded them all.
I can't believe people didn't do that before. She's as smart as hell to do that. Yeah. That's where these people like Creedence Clearwater got screwed on their contract. And he had to fight for decades to get the rights back. It'd have been great if somebody
look at the Beatles,
just have an album here. Just cut your own songs again. And they can't do anything about it. Nobody thought of it back then. Nobody thought that was something they could do. Amazing. But now you can. That's
Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney spent $500 million to buy back the Beatles catalog or some shit from Elvis, of all fucking people. Elvis is a state, right? Yeah, just record. Well, you can't really do. I guess that's the exception. Ron is dead. Paul, so you really can't record those.
It works a lot better if you're a one-piece band. If your band's all dead, it's kind of hard to have people fill it. Yeah. But no, that's very smart, and that's what the technology exists now to allow them to do that, which is cool because now and a lot of these old paradigms, man, they're all going to come to a halt in the next 10 or 20 years. I mean, a lot of them already have. There's professions now that when we were kids that don't exist anymore, and that's just what's going to happen as time goes on. Technology is going to allow more people to do their own self-publishing, do their own self. I mean, I don't know anything, but I know enough people. I know Rob. I know a lot of people. If I'm going to publish something tomorrow, I would call 5 friends and say, "Hey, what do I need to do?" And I can have something published by the end of the year. It's not. It's not a. There's. I remember when I was in a band. Yes, I was in a band in the '80s. I was in a punk band, and we had to go get studio time. Studio time was expensive as all hell, and we had to, do the studio time to get our stuff down on tracks or whatever. Now, fast forward 40 years ahead. We could do this. I have a friend that has a mixing board of studio quality because he does mixing for other bands. We could just go to his house and cut music, and it'd be.
Mike, look at this.
Also, too. I mean, to tie it back to gaming, is this whole digital revolution. I think hit RPG early and hard, which is why what Tim said earlier.
Talk dirty to me, Rob. Talk dirty to me.
This is why what Tim said earlier about, let's talk about the people with projects out there right now that need help, because this is all rampage through it. This is why I keep saying Wizard doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter to somebody at my level. what they do. I got my own problems to worry about.
I mean, Mike, look at this group. I mean, if you think about it, if you wanted to publish something, right? You got Rob for the cartographer, you got Eric for marketing, you got Greg for layout, you got Tim for adventures, and you got me for half-ass editing, right?
So,
just right here, So I mean,
all
it's just
I'm good for is layout.
Layout. That's
so
it.
our NTRPG our annual NTRPG module. I usually Tom Wilson writes it, and I'll add something in there, and he does all the hard work. And he said, you need to write this. You could do it. So I wrote an adventure, the B1.5. I wrote it. I sent it off to Tom. Tom's going to edit it. He's going to lay it out. I've got artists working on the art, and it didn't. With Tom's help, it'll be published next North Texas, and it'll be, by Mike Battlelotto and Tom Wilson, and it'll be published. And there's a D&D module. I mean, you could have done it. You couldn't do that 40 years ago.
That's what the pundit does. The pundit just types shit up on a fucking word processor, I think, and he sends it over to some goddamn publisher who does the layout, art, and everything else. Sure. I mean, if he just took the time to learn that bullshit, he would have to spend all that, lose all that money he could be making on his own, but he doesn't want to, and so be it. That's his thing,
right. So this is from your perspective, Bad Mike, but you guys do print runs over at Frog God Games, correct? Right? So how's that working out?
But we do print runs. So it works out great because what we've done is eliminated storage costs. Because before, this is something just changed in 20 years. So in Necromancer Games in 20 years, when they came off the book like Rapid Ethic, they had to guesstimate how many of these you think we would sell. Sometimes you guess right, sometimes you guess wrong. Sometimes what you want to do is hit the nail almost immediately, almost exactly on the head. You want to print 10,000 copies and sell 9,400 or whatever. And sometimes we have books that we still have left from 15 years ago that just never sold. So what now they've totally eliminated that. What you do now is you run an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter. You know exactly how many books you need, plus you add whatever the discount pops up at. So let's say you sell 1,800 copies, you do it 2,000 or 25, whatever the discount. There's usually a discount per copy at a certain point. You do it the discount, so you've pre-sold already your 1,800 copies, and let's say you get another 200. The other 200 you can bring to conventions and put up and sell. And guess what? In a year, you're out of product. You don't have to worry about it. If you want to, you can reprint it. If not, you just sell the PDF.
You can do what Kevin Crawford does and have a Kickstarter for the reprint.
It's incredibly efficient now. It's amazing how much guesswork was involved in print runs for games and probably other things too back in the day. It was all guesstimate. It was like, well, I think I could sell this much, or I think I might sell that much. Now you know how much. You pretty much know what you're going to sell. I'm going to sell this much. Plus, I'm going to make an extra 200-300 copies that I bring to conventions. And then you tell your audience, after we're done, that's it. We're not printing anymore. That also increases people buying your stuff because they're like, oh, if I don't get this now, it's not going to be around.
One time only. Get it while you can.
We have people all the time coming to Frog Art Games wanting past stuff. We don't have it. I don't have it. It's not in the warehouse. It doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And we tell them,
don't you put it on print on demand? Just
why don't you do that?
It's not. You can do print on demand or PDF, but a lot of people don't like print on demand. There's issues with print on demand,
quality
sometimes.
And all that. Yeah,
yeah, and so they're like, well, no, I want a first print of whatever. Well, that doesn't exist. Not only that, we don't print on demand like hardcovers. Usually our hardcovers are print on demand. They're usually soft cover, and they're not exactly the same books. So some people that are uber collectors have learned at this point, if I want a Frog Art Games first print, I better back the Kickstarter because otherwise it's not going to be available afterwards. Or may or may not. A lot of our stuff has gone out of print, and yes, you can buy it on PDF. And there's ways to, like I said, you can do print on demand. But some people are like, well, no, I don't want print on demand. I want the original copy, and they just don't exist. But it's much more efficient this way. We save so much money. Like I said, storage costs. We had I won't name the name, but we had a marketing director years ago that was garbage. I'll tell you guys off camera. And she continually overestimated how much we pay for stuff or how much we print.
Ooh.
And so we got stuck with stuff like, I don't know if I should give it away by saying the title, but we had things that we ended up with like literally 1,000 extra copies. And
wouldn't it be Tim with the B?
No, I'm going to send it to you in private chat. And
but even though it's a run-of-the-mill adventure, and it was overestimated by 1,000 copies.
Well, way overestimated.
I guess that. I'm saying the book in question, was it like grande?
It was Toma Horrors 4, I believe, is the one.
Okay.
We were giving away copies until like it was published 10 years ago. We were giving away copies till like last year, to the point where people would come to our booth. Here you go. You want a copy? We had so many of them.
Take it away, please.
The price on the cover was like, I don't know, $50 for it. I mean, we couldn't sell for that much. But there was way too many printed. And that was just a bad estimate. We ended up just losing our tail on books like that. And there was 2 or 3 books like that when this person worked there. But they just did a bad job of estimating or guesstimating how much we need. Now it's a process now. It's really easy to figure out.
Yeah.
So it's something that you would have had to worry about 20 years ago. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
You know who has that same issue? I've heard talk about it, Mike, is Steve from Trollord Games. Is they have their own printing press, right? So they could do they did a lot of print runs of shit. Yeah, I heard him talking one time during one of his shows about multiple warehouses full of random boxes of shit, like everywhere. They don't know what they have. You know what I mean? That's the impression I got. Is there's so many boxes, so many warehouses and shelves of stuff. They don't know what they have. Every once in a while, they'll pull out a box. Oh, we got this. We'll give it away or sell it, or for a raffle or whatever.
Yes,
you found this thing.
Storage costs will eat you alive. Now, one of the things that Frog God has going for it is we have our own warehouses on Bill Webb's property, and so we don't pay another company to store for storage space. But for a lot of companies, that is a huge expense to store books. I know Paizo had a big problem with that for years. They were paying a ton. At one point, they were storing stuff that they could sell in their store from other companies. They called up Bill and said, "Look, we need to send all your stuff back. We're getting rid of this warehouse."
I've been curious about Paizo,
like,
actually.
Okay. And so we got a big giant truckload of stuff, and some of it was old and valuable, but it was just they were tired of paying the warehouse, and from now on we're just going to drop ship. We're not going to store stuff on premises, which makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense to store stuff on the premises, especially if you're having to rent your own warehouse. You don't actually own your warehouse, but I mean, it's just the business. Like I said, the business innovates, like we talk about. Everything changes. That was the way everybody did it back in the day. And maybe if TSR hadn't done it that way, they wouldn't have gone out of business because they were doing it that way. We're just going to print out a billion of these books. Oh wait, they're shipping them all back now. Oh, shit. We didn't know about that. Oh crap, we're screwed. We don't have where to put all these.
Hey, how is Paizo doing? I've been wondering about that for the industry insider types on this show right now. I know they had a big splash with their their second edition or this and that, and I know they weren't Kobold raising the black flag, but they were all against the whole OGL mess and this and that. And they had a spur, they have a spurt of sales, and I haven't heard a peep from them ever since.
They're doing pretty well right now. Starfinder kind of took off. Starfinder took a while to develop. It wasn't doing good at first.
Finally took off.
Yeah, finally took off, and then 2.0 finally took off too. There was a lot of people pissed off about 2.0 when it came out, but now it seems to have found its audience.
Now they're doing Starfinder 2.0. The link's in the bottom of the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when Starfinder came out, that was the only we did a Starfinder Kickstarter for Frog God. That's still the only Kickstarter we never had fun to this day. And about 100 something Kickstarters. Wow. That's how bad it was received at first. Nobody wanted to play, Pathfinder in space or whatever. But it's taken a few years, and slowly they played it at conventions. They had a league for it, and then it slowly come around, and now it's fairly popular.
Is that their bread and butter, though? I mean, is that where they're making their money?
It's still 2.0. It's still Pathfinder 2.0. Okay. And like I said, people, when that came out, I mean, Eric and I were there when they debuted it. People hated it. They were griping about it. They had already bought thousands of dollars worth of Pathfinder 1.0. They were not going to switch over, blah, blah, blah. Then, it's here it is 5 years later, and people, they're okay. They're okay with it. They're buying 2.0.
It's like a hybrid. I mean, I bought it. I read through it, and it would seem like a hybrid between 5e and Pathfinder 1.0. You know what I mean? It had a little bit of each and not much.
I mean, so some ways I've heard it's an easier game to play, but you have your quote unquote Pathfinder grognards. Just nope, we're still playing Pathfinder 1.0 because that's the game we grew up with, whatever. But then you get these new people in it. Maybe they didn't play Pathfinder that long. They're not attached to the game. Like 2.0 fixes a lot of problems with Pathfinder 1.0. And so they're doing fine. There's some game companies that aren't doing very well right now. There's a lot of reasons. I think one of the big reasons is just because with all the confusion going on at WotC, nobody is sure exactly what to publish because it's 5e good now? Is it not good? Should we do this? I mean, they just don't know what to do. And
the platform, I mean, you're going to put something out in print. If it all goes VTT, you need to learn how to fucking code. I mean, Jesus Christ, what are you going to do if you want to try to have an importable thing saleable on the VTT? What specialty niche is that? Probably Greg's one amongst us who could figure that bullshit out. Maybe Rob. Rob, you think so? Yeah, I don't know. I know it ain't me. So, it's just going to be a shit show.
You talk so fast, Joe. I couldn't hear the question.
Figuring out a VTT thing, Rob. Stuff on a VTT.
I mean, Joe, publishing. Go ahead.
I think the thing that starts to bother people, and I almost said this when you brought up about Pundit typing up stuff and sending it off to people, and he could learn how to do that thing. One of the things that I've really seen this with respect to video games is that I might see a video game that I want to play to some degree.
Yeah.
But I know that learning the video game will be such an involved process that I go, I'm not going to deal with that shit. And it's a real barrier. Like it's in my head, but it's a barrier in my head. There are certain things like learning how to make this stuff on VTT. I totally believe I could figure it out.
Yeah.
I just have nowhere near the level of dedication required to figure out how to make a VTT character sheet, how to make a VTT, calculation of anything.
Why do you want to make a character sheet? Why do you feel the need to make a character sheet? I mean, it's nice to have one, but it's not.
It sells the underlying product sometimes, Rob, for certain people.
It's useful. It's useful from a product launch perspective to be able to have a map that works with all the lighting and everything.
Oh, you're talking about supporting VTT with your Chubby Funster stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, also, sometimes I'm like, how can I make this character sheet work a little bit differently? And it's not worth it for me. Like the time involved.
Well, I can tell you the problem with the character sheet. You're not a programmer. I mean, you're going to have to learn
a code,
learn a programming language, and not everybody wants to do that.
Yeah.
I know enough HTML to go in and edit things that are already done. Yeah, fix stuff. I couldn't create it from scratch. That's the thing.
Wow.
Yeah, there's HTML and HTML. This is really advanced. It is a weird ass programming language.
This is why I consider you my Lord and Savior, Rob. I leave these problems to you.
Well, if you want me to do a character sheet for one of your games, you're gonna have to pay me. I'm sorry.
I know.
If you run a campaign or you run a kick-ass campaign, I'll do it for free, like I did for Joe. So
it didn't last that long. It kicked ass for a while, then it fizzled away. Tim stopped, and I was like, why don't we just wait for Tim to come back? And then Tim to come back for a while. It just fizzled.
Which one was
the
it?
Bronze Age, remember?
The Bronze Age. I made a character sheet.
Yeah.
I don't think it was. No, I don't think it was because of me, Joe.
I asked the guys. I said, "Listen, let's wait," because you were feeling sick at the time, Tim. This is the early stages of that thing, right? And I was like, "Why don't we just chill until Tim gets better?" And then it took a long time because I know you're really into it. You're enjoying it. I'm like, I'll just wait a few weeks. And then a few weeks went into a couple months, and that was just then it went away. And then I wasn't happy with what I did with it anyway. I needed to have more God shit in there. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me just, no, it's done. So yeah, but I do appreciate that sheet, Rob. And after you modified the Swords and Wizardry character sheet, basically, I think it was, to make it work with my game. And it was nice. It worked.
Fix the 2E sheet, Rob.
Yeah, really.
No.
No. I will not delve into that cesspool of hell. 2E character sheet.
Joe, I did take a look at the code of it, and
it's messy. Yeah. God, it's a shit show.
We have surpassed 2.5 hours. Which means I think we have gone longer than Wednesday nights live with Mike and Jen. Oh my God.
Oh my God. What is this? The week for going long? Going long this week.
That's what she said.
So you beat me to it, Greg. Yeah, you motherfucker. Yeah, if you're less
I got one more
game
thing I want to ask.
Good job.
I got one more gaming thing. Greg, have you heard of Mothership and take a look at it?
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
Somebody showed. I read a detailed description of it, and it sounded like it had all the things you like about Aliens, the RPG.
Yeah, the only problem is that No offense to anyone, but the person in charge of a mothership is not my kind of person. So
Okay.
I don't even want to go down that road. It'd be like if Zach Smith launched a game. As much as it might be, I might like the idea of it. I'm not going to be working on that.
And Ty, just for you, Booger. There you go, Ty.
There you go.
He said it on air, and then he got canceled. He was the early days. Dr. Johnny Fever said Booger on air and got canceled, and I think he got schlepped out to Cincinnati because of that, didn't he?
Yep.
Was that how he ended up there?
Booger?
It was, yeah. You know, WKRP in Cincinnati. I know you were a zygote back then, or whatever the fuck you call it.
Zygote.
Whatever the fuck it was, but yeah, it was a great fucking show.
When I heard Jimmy Carter got attacked by a rabbit, and I'm like, what happened now? Yeah.
What? Listen, we hit a high of 12 people on Rumble, 13 on X. So, and for those.
What about YouTube?
Those of us looking on YouTube X combined hit a high of 39.
Wow.
That is a record.
It's good, man.
And so that means that we hit over 50 concurrent viewers at one time. I thank you. My co-host, thank you. This is awesome. Again, options.
It's all due to the editing, Eric. You know, it's all the editing, and that's why it's.
No, it's we stopped yakking about wizards thanks to Tim. So thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you,
I think it was the milk crates, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it was
the milk crates.
Yeah, but then we started bitching about wizards. So
milk crates added at least 2 viewers. Folks, another live stream tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Rachel, myself, Gamers Health. And then Wednesday will be the next live stream with Bad Mike, myself, Jim Kitchen, and hopefully a special guest. I got to arrange that.
Well, I mean, yeah, you got to get on the stick, Eric.
I know, and I might be in the Poconos, but I run okay.
Oh my God, this guy, he retires. Good Lord, coming turns around in the Poconos
all the fucking time. I'll have you know that of those 53 people are currently watching on my channel. So yes, I'm bringing it.
It's an hour since I told you to go to bed.
Beast.
I don't know what Joe's talking about at all. All right, folks. Be safe, be well. God bless. Roll the dice, roll them well.
Night, everybody.
Live stream tomorrow at 8.
Later, guys.